Chapter 1241. Ning Cheng's face remained calm. He had blown off one of Zhu Yinghua's hands. His strength would probably drop by another level. Even if he saw the third step, he wouldn't be able to reach it so quickly. A sacred emperor who had yet to reach the third step wanted to snatch his Dharma treasure. Even if he suffered several times more severe injuries, Zhu Yinghua, could forget about snatching away the five-colored star-splitter arrow. Big Brother Ning. An Yi was the first to arrive in front of Ning Cheng. Her face was filled with worry. Ning Cheng put away the fourth Yellow Springs bridge and forced a smile. "Don't worry, I'm a pill sage. This poison can't do anything to me. Dao Lord Ning is truly inferior to us. He actually managed to sever one of Zhu Yinghua's hands despite being heavily injured." It was said that Zhu Yinghua's strength was second only to Mo Gu in the Seven Deity Temple, and she had already taken a peek at the third step. Now that Dao Lord Ning has cut off one of her hands, it will be even more difficult for her to reach the third step. Yin Xingwen laughed and followed an Yi. As he spoke, his eyes fell on Ning Cheng. The hand that Zhu Yinghua had used to snatch the treasure was not a Dao rune hand seal, but a real hand. Because of his greed to snatch Ning Cheng's five-colored star-splitter arrow, his arm ended up getting blasted off by Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng knew that Yin Xingwen had a more important meaning behind his words, that is, Yin Xingwen wanted to know how much his strength had dropped. Ning Cheng glanced at Yin Xingwen and spoke with a calm tone. "Xingwen World Master, I suffered some injuries, so I won't be coming to your World Lord's Peak today. As for the matter of you kidnapping my friend and preparing to refine the ceiling array pillar, you decide what to do about it." After saying that, Ning Cheng didn't wait for Yin Xingwen to answer and walked directly to Bai Ling. "Dao Lord Bai Ling, many thanks for this. If it wasn't for Gu Ruoxi's help, I might not have been able to kill Mo Gu. If Gu Ruoxi did not come forward, then Wuxia Yoshin would also not come forward. With the old fart's personality, he would definitely flee if he couldn't win. He would definitely not risk his life to save him. Once the old fart escaped, he would have to face 5 Dao integration experts by himself, including a super expert like Mo Gu. It would be difficult for him to escape. The main reason was that Moge's false world boundary was too powerful. Once this thing trapped him, besides entering the mysterious yellow bead, what else could he do? Bai Ling's expression was somewhat miserable. She shook her head. "If Mo Gu doesn't die, my Yaohua Dao Court will eventually end up like the Confucian Pavilion Dao Court. And she helping you is equivalent to helping ourselves. But right now, and she." Ning Cheng understood Bai Ling's concerns. Gu Ruoxi was the Yaohua Dao Court's guardian. Once something happened to Gu Ruoxi, the Yaohua Dao Court would face a storm. Ning Cheng showed a slight smile. "Dao Lord Bai Ling, you don't have to worry. Only Dao Friend Gu's essence spirit and Dao charm have dissipated. Under normal circumstances, he could only choose to reincarnate, or freeze his primordial spirit, which was about to collapse, to find a way to survive. I'm a pill saint after all, I still have some things on me." With that, Ning Cheng took out a medicinal pill and put it in Bai Ling's hand. "Give this medicinal pill to Dao Friend Gu. Once you take it, your essence spirit will condense, and your Dao charm will solidify once again." 6 Yin Soul Pill. Bai Ling looked at the Dao pill in his hand and exclaimed in shock. Ning Cheng nodded. "That's right, it is indeed the 6 Yin Soul Pill. If it was a long time ago, I would not dare to say such words. Since Dao Friend Gu's essence spirit has not dissipated, it is the right time to take this pill. Dao Lord Ning, as far as I know, the 6 Yin Soul Pill cannot condense Dao charm, and the target it saves is only below the Dao essence realm." Mu Zuoxiao, who stood on the side, spoke up in doubt. Mu Zuoxiao's master, Ao Beijiang, had left, but he did not. He had always admired Ning Cheng's Dao of alchemy. Previously, when he stood on the opposite side of Ning Cheng, he had no way to discuss the Dao of alchemy. But now that he was no longer on the opposite side of Ning Cheng, he was ready to discuss the Dao of alchemy with Ning Cheng. If there was anyone who could question Ning Cheng's medicinal pill, it would undoubtedly be him. Bai Ling didn't care about Mu Zuoxiao's words and didn't hesitate to put the 6-yin soul pill into Gu Ruoxi's mouth. Ning Cheng saw Gu Ruoxi swallow the medicinal pill and nodded to Mu Zuoxiao. Dao friend, Mu's Dao charm has solidified, and it looks like you're about to reach Dao unification. Ordinary 6-yin soul pills can't save Gu Ruoxi, but this 6-yin soul pill is different. I added something in it. What is it? Mu Zuoxiao blurted out. Ning Cheng didn't answer Mu Zuoxiao's words. He naturally wouldn't tell Mu Zuoxiao that his 6-yin soul pill contained the bestowing lawless fruit. The value of that half a bestowing lawless fruit far exceeded the value of the 6-yin soul pill. In just a few breaths, Bai Ling was pleasantly surprised to feel that Gu Ruoxi's essence spirit had stopped collapsing. Not only that, but her essence spirit had also started to condense. Even the Dao charm around her body had started to solidify. Bai Ling looked up at Ning Cheng, but before she could even express her gratitude, Gu Ruoxi had already opened her eyes, and immediately sat up. The next moment, endless heaven and earth spirit qi started to gather around her. Gu Ruoxi's Dao charm started to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye. The people around her felt sluggish. They had never seen such a powerful essence spirit Dao core. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Sun Hanrui had wasted too much time. Otherwise, a 6-yin soul pill would have definitely helped her condense her soul. Fortunately, she had her own opportunities. With Nyenyen's heaven-defying means, she could definitely save her. Bing Ling felt pleasantly surprised for a while before remembering that she should thank Ning Cheng. She quickly bowed to Ning Cheng and said, "Many thanks, Dao Lord Ning." Yin Xingwen also felt shocked. A medicinal pill that could help a Dao perfection powerhouse condense her essence spirit. This medicinal pill itself was priceless. He didn't have time to consider the impact on him if the Yaohua Dao court didn't suffer any damage. Instead, he took out a ring and handed it to Ning Cheng. "Dao Lord Ning, there are some materials in here. Thank you for your help to my great change realm. I hope Dao Lord Ning doesn't mind." He didn't dare to attack Ning Cheng and chose to reconcile with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng was indeed poisoned, but he only had less than 20% confidence that he could keep Ning Cheng. Moreover, he also had to take into account other people's objections. Once Ning Cheng left, he and Ning Cheng would end up in an irreconcilable situation. Yin Xingwen already had lingering fears about Ning Cheng's combat prowess. Ning Cheng put away the ring and didn't say much. He wanted Yin Xingwen to compensate him, but it was just a matter of formality. This was a warning to Yin Xingwen that if Ning Cheng's friends or people around him appeared in the Great Change Realm in the future, Yin Xingwen would have to be polite. If something like an happened again, the result would not be so simple. "Dao Lord Ning, my great mystery Dao court isn't far from here." When Jie Xinxue saw Ning Cheng take out the 6-yin soul pill to save Gu Ruoxi, he knew that it was of great importance to befriend Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wasn't just powerful in his attacks and his array Dao. He was also a top-notch alchemy saint. Ning Cheng didn't wait for Jie Xinxue to finish speaking and tactfully refused. "I'm poisoned and need to find a place to detoxify myself. Alchemy Saint Ning, why don't you come to my elixir building? If I'm not wrong, Alchemy Saint Ning is poisoned by the Sod Adversity poison, one of the top 10 poisons in the world," Mu Zuoxiao said sincerely. He sincerely wanted to invite Ning Cheng to discuss the alchemy Dao. Sod Adversity poison? Sure enough, it was the Sod Adversity poison. Ning Cheng had guessed that he was poisoned by the Sod Adversity poison, but he wasn't very sure. Now that Mu Zuoxiao could tell that he was poisoned by the Sod Adversity poison, it was definitely the Sod Adversity poison. The Sod Adversity poison was one of the top 10 poisons in the world, and it could corrode one's sea of consciousness and Dao charm. Once one's sea of consciousness and Dao charm corroded, one's vitality would gradually dissipate. In the end, the poisoned person would only leave behind an empty corpse with their spiritual soul extinguished. Union Master Mu's understanding of everything in the world truly far surpasses mine. If not for Union Master Mu's reminder, I wouldn't have been sure that I was poisoned by the sod adversity poison. Ning Qing cupped his fists and spoke with admiration. In any case, Mu Zuoxiao had already surpassed him in terms of poison recognition. If he hadn't seen the universe vegetation, he might not have thought of the sod adversity poison. Mu Zuoxiao looked ashamed. Alchemy Saint Ning overpraises you. I didn't see the sod adversity poison in you, but I know that Mo Gu once obtained this kind of poison. Unfortunately, I don't have any way to detoxify this poison. I'm willing to discuss this poison with Alchemy Saint Ning and work together to detoxify it. Ning Qing guessed that Mu Zuoxiao meant what he said, but he didn't intend to go to Mu Zuoxiao's place to detoxify it. After he politely thanked Mu Zuoxiao, he spoke up. Today, in the battle against the devils, this Ning can be considered to have fought side by side with all of you. If fate wills it, let's meet again in the future. Goodbye. Everyone came forward to bid farewell to Ning Qing. Ning Qing politely said his goodbyes one by one. Finally, he walked up to Yan Kong and said, Master Yan Kong, I might visit the Thousand Buddha Sacred Tao sect in the future. Master Yan Kong quickly put his palms together and said, My Thousand Buddha Sacred Tao sect welcomes Tao Lord Ning at any time. Let's go. Ning Qing laughed and left with an E and the old fogey. The sod adversity poison was terrifying, and the universe vegetation didn't have an antidote. But Ning Qing didn't worry too much about it. He believed that with his ability, he could eventually find a way to detoxify it. At worst, he could just slowly deduce it. One day, he could deduce a way to detoxify the sod adversity poison. With his starry sky sea of consciousness and Tao of returning to one, the sod adversity poison couldn't kill him in a short time. In fact, Ning Qing also felt that his Tao charm could temporarily wrap around the sod adversity poison. As for asking Yin Xingwen about the location of the cultivator from the Grand Essence realm, Ning Qing quickly dispelled the idea. The main reason was that he was poisoned. Yin Xingwen was too shrewd. Don't look at him acting polite here. But if he stayed in the Grand Change realm for a long time, Yin Xingwen might not take action against him. He had a place to detoxify. The verdant bamboo forest that Nyenyen had given him back then was a tranquil place. Ning Cheng's group had just left the battlefield in the underground abyss when a tyrannical spiritual consciousness swept over. Ning Cheng immediately stood in the void. Even if he was poisoned, he wasn't someone that could be dealt with by some stray dogs or cats. A moment later, a beautiful middle-aged woman landed in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng, who originally had a trace of killing intent, suddenly froze when he saw this middle-aged woman. This middle-aged woman was at the peak of primordial chaos realm and a half-step into Tao integration realm. What surprised Ning Cheng was that she looked 70% similar to Shi Qianghua. Chapter 1242. If you don't mind, you can come to a place with me. The middle-aged woman took the initiative to speak up when she saw Ning Cheng in a daze. Okay. Ning Cheng agreed without hesitation. He had already guessed that this middle-aged woman and Shi Qianghua had a relationship. Since she took the initiative to come to him, it meant that she wanted to tell him about Shi Qianghua. The middle-aged woman brought out a flight-type weapon and flew forward. Ning Cheng also brought out a flight-type weapon and followed behind with the old man. Half a day later, the middle-aged woman's flight-type weapon entered an ordinary-looking sacred Tao city. After wandering around the sacred Tao city for half an hour, the middle-aged woman brought Ning Cheng into a small cave courtyard. Since the courtyard had restrictions that isolated spiritual consciousness, Ning Cheng didn't use his spiritual consciousness to forcibly check it out. The middle-aged woman brought Ning Cheng's trio to the guest hall and poured a cup of divine tea for each of them. She then said to Ning Cheng, Tao Lord Ning, I should salute you. You're the Tao Lord of Grand Essence Realm, and I'm a cultivator from Grand Essence Realm. I don't know if Tao Lord Ning knows me, but I'll introduce myself first. My name is Shi Qianxi, and I come from the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond. Maybe Tao Lord Ning guessed that I'm Qionghua's mother. Ning Qing quickly stood up. Although he had guessed that this middle-aged woman had a relationship with Qionghua, he didn't expect this woman to be Qionghua's mother. Seeing Shi Qianxi not moving, Ning Qing could only bow with cupped fists and say, "Ning Qing greets Senior. Is Qionghua also here?" Shi Qianxi nodded, "Yes, Qionghua is here. But you have to listen to me first." Ning Qing held back the fluctuations in his heart and tried to speak in a slow tone. "Senior, please speak." Shi Qianxi looked at Ning Qing for a while and suddenly said, "Ever since I learned that Qionghua's purity had been ruined in her 9th life, I almost left the Grand Essence realm to tear that person's body into 1,000 pieces. But I held back because I knew that if Qionghua didn't want to, no one in the lower realms could ruin her purity." Ning Qing's expression remained calm. He and Shi Qionghua did have some misunderstandings. Later, when the two got together, it was completely out of love and without any reluctance. Today, no matter what Shi Qianxi said, he would still take away Qionghua. "Later, when I learned that you were the person in Qionghua's heart in the Grand Essence realm, I gave up on attacking you. Or, at that time, I could no longer move you. After that, your status grew higher and higher. Not to mention me, even the sect master of my 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond couldn't do anything to you openly." Although Shi Qianxi's tone was calm, Ning Qing could still hear some unwillingness in it. Speaking till here, Shi Qianxi paused and deliberately looked at Ning Qing for a while, before continuing, "To be honest, if not for other things, then you are the best choice for Qionghua. Qionghua's eyes are quite good, she did not misjudge a person. Senior, please let Qionghua come out and let me see her." Ning Qing finally could not help but make this request. Shi Qianxi acted as if she hadn't heard Ning Qing's words and spoke up calmly, "Tao Lord Ning, do you know what cultivation method my 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond cultivates?" Ning Qing nodded, "I've heard about it, but I don't know much about it." Shi Qianxi didn't ask Ning Qing to answer. Instead, she took the initiative to explain, "My 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond cultivates a cultivation method that is unique in the entire Grand Essence realm. Tao Lord Ning might not like to hear it, but even your cultivation method might not be as good as my 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond's cultivation method." Ning Qing didn't comment. He didn't need to argue about such things. He didn't believe that the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond's cultivation method could surpass his mysterious yellow formless. His mysterious yellow formless was a good fortune cultivation method. Unless the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond also had a good fortune treasure that derived a good fortune cultivation method. Even if the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond derived a good fortune cultivation method, it couldn't be stronger than the mysterious yellow formless. Only those with a good fortune treasure could cultivate the mysterious yellow formless. Otherwise, even if he gave the mysterious yellow formless to others, they could only look at it and not cultivate it. Shi Qianxi didn't know Ning Qing's thoughts and still said, "My 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Pond cultivates a cultivation method called the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Art. Tao Lord Ning might not know what's special about the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Art. But I believe that Tao Lord Ning should have heard of the 10 major spirit techniques, right? The reincarnation spirit technique, ranked 6th among the 10 major spirit techniques, requires one to cultivate the 9 Revolutions Sacred Tao Art. I heard that Tao Lord Ning has a spirit technique called the 7 Bridges. In fact, the 7 Bridges also contains the reincarnation bridge. It's just that the reincarnation spirit technique is slightly different from the reincarnation bridge of the 7 Bridges." Ning Qing nodded, "As far as I know, the real name shouldn't be the 10 major spirit techniques, but the 10 major cultivation methods. Of course, I only know 8 cultivation methods. Among them, the reincarnation technique isn't ranked 6th, but 4th. In fact, Ning Qing sometimes wondered if the 4th one wasn't called the reincarnation technique, but the 7 Bridges. Just like the karma cultivation method, the reincarnation cultivation method was just a branch of the 7 bridges cultivation method. Later, Ning Qing dispelled this idea. He had already mastered 5 bridges of the 7 bridges spirit technique. In fact, even the combined power of the first 5 bridges couldn't rank among the 10 major spirit techniques. Tao Lord Ning, you actually know about the 10 major cultivation methods? Shi Qianxi glanced at Ning Qing in surprise. According to the common saying in the Grand Essence realm, it was the 10 major spirit techniques. However, very few people knew about the 10 major cultivation methods. I've heard a little about them, but I don't know much about them. Ning Qing replied honestly. Shi Qianxi breathed a sigh of relief. Since Tao Lord Ning knows about the 10 major cultivation methods, then it would be easier for Tao Lord Ning to understand them. Although the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art is powerful, no one in the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond has succeeded in cultivating this cultivation method, except for the first sect master. Even the old ancestor of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond only managed to cultivate a pseudo 9 revolutions. Seemingly feeling the difficulty of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond, Shi Qianxi sighed subconsciously, cultivating the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art is too difficult. The first step requires 9 reincarnations. Not only do you have to maintain a kind heart in each life, but you also have to maintain a pure body. This is just the most basic requirement. The more important requirement is that you must cultivate to the Tao sculpting realm or above in each life. Ning Qing didn't speak. When it came to kindness, he believed in Qianghua. But to say that the women of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond were kind, he couldn't help but chuckle. In his opinion, even the most poisonous poison couldn't compare to the group of women from the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond. If he hadn't seen the spirit transplant technique with his own eyes, he would have thought that Shi Qianxi was telling the truth. He didn't know if Shi Qianxi saw Ning Qing's disdain, but she explained, of course, kindness is only for those cultivators who want to undergo 9 reincarnations. Because every reincarnation, you don't know your origin at the beginning. Just like an ordinary person, you act according to your own heart. It's rare to maintain a kind heart for 9 reincarnations. Since the establishment of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond, apart from the first sect master, only Qianghua has truly cultivated to 9 reincarnations. Ning Qing interrupted Shi Qianxi's words and said with a stiff tone, Senior Shi, I know that Qianghua is your daughter, but she is also my wife. The implication was that Qianghua was already his wife in her 9th reincarnation, which didn't conform to the cultivation method of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art. If Shi Qianxi wanted to use this excuse to keep Qianghua, it would make him feel very uncomfortable. Shi Qianxi didn't feel surprised by Ning Qing's words. Instead, she nodded, I know that Qianghua was your wife in her 9th reincarnation. What surprised me and the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond's old ancestor was that Qianghua came back in her 10th reincarnation. It stood to reason that she became Tao companions with you in her 9th reincarnation, and the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art would no longer be fated with her. But the truth is that her 9 revolutions sacred Tao art has lost its edge, and she has already completed the first step of cultivation. Not only that, but her body also carries the aura of the origin Tao. You can say that as long as there are no other problems, Qianghua has a great chance to step into the 3rd step and walk through a realm that countless people can't even dream of reaching. Ning Qing remained silent. He didn't doubt Shi Qianxi's words. He had the mysterious yellow bead, a good fortune treasure. Qianghua was his wife, and they had been husband and wife before. Even in her 9th reincarnation, it wasn't impossible for Qianghua to have the aura of the origin Tao after her reincarnation. Shi Qianxi looked at Ning Qing sincerely and said, the most difficult part of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art is the first step. Once you pass the first step, it would be a smooth path to the Tao. If you really like Qianghua, I hope that you can wait until Qianghua reaches the 3rd step of Tao confirming before getting together with her. Otherwise, Qianghua's 9 revolutions sacred Tao art will end here, and her Tao will also end here. How could Ning Cheng not understand Shi Qianqi's meaning? Waiting for Shi Qianghua to reach the third step of Dao confirming before getting together with her was a complete lie. Not to mention when Shi Qianghua could reach the third step of Dao confirming, even if she knew how many years it would take for Shi Qianghua to reach the third step of Dao confirming, in Shi Qianqi's view, Ning Cheng was just a passerby in Qianghua's life. Seeing Ning Cheng not speaking and not showing any expression in his eyes, Shi Qianqi sighed again and said, "With your strength, it would be easy to take away Qianghua. If you really want to do so, I won't stop you." Big brother Ning. An Yi, who sat next to Ning Cheng, called out in worry. Ning Cheng stood up, "I'm going to see Qianghua, she." Not waiting for Ning Cheng to finish his words, Shi Qianqi pointed to a room opposite them and said, "Qianghua lives across the street. She's also waiting for you. You can go." Ning Cheng signaled an Yi not to worry and asked her and the old fart to wait here. He then stepped out of the room and landed at the door of the opposite room in just a few steps. "Is it Big Brother Ning? Please come in." Ning Cheng had just landed when the restriction at the door of the room opened, and a soft voice and Shi Qianghua's familiar face entered Ning Cheng's eyes. Beside Shi Qianghua was another beautiful woman in white robes. When she saw Ning Cheng standing at the door, she bowed to Ning Cheng and said, "You talk, I'll take my leave first." Ning Cheng looked at the familiar person in front of him and felt something stuck in his heart, making him unable to vent. A deep sense of remorse welled up inside him. In his opinion, Qianghua's accident was all because of him. Chapter 1243. Qianghua. Ning Cheng felt that his throat was a bit dry. Obviously Qianghua was in front of him, but he felt as if he had lost something. Shi Qianghua sighed, as she raised her hand to form a restriction and spoke, "Big brother Ning, please sit down." Ning Cheng did not sit down, rather he took a deep breath and spoke, "Qianghua, did you forget what happened before? I heard Luofei say that if it weren't for you, she would have been killed by your younger sister. Since you still remember me, why do you make me feel like a stranger?" Shi Qianghua stared at Ning Cheng for a long time before she suddenly took out a jade strip and placed it in Ning Cheng's hands. "This is the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art that I cultivate. This cultivation method jade strip was given to me by my mother after I successfully completed the first step of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art. In the history of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond, only the first sect master successfully cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art. The first sect master was my ancestor, and I was the second person to cross the hardest step of the 9 revolution sacred Tao technique." The jade slip carried a trace of an ancient aura. It was obvious that it came from ancient times. Ning Cheng did not look at the jade strip in his hands, but rather put the jade strip on the table, and spoke in a gentle tone, "Qianghua, you just have to tell me if you still have your memories." Shi Qianghua nodded and spoke, "I still have my memories, no one has done anything to me." After cultivating the 9 revolutions sacred path technique for 9 reincarnations and completing the first step, it would sever all the grudges and emotions of the previous 9 lives. When I was in the everlasting sacred shrine, the first step had not yet been perfected, and I still retained the emotions from my previous life. Later, I used the soul concealment technique and fell into a coma. Just as I was about to die, my mother helped me obtain the purpline divine spring bead. After I recovered, the first step of the 9 revolution sacred path technique was completed. I got rid of all the emotions from my previous 9 lives and only retained some important memories. You and I became husband and wife. This is an important memory to me, and I have kept it. No wonder you joined the Severing Emotions Tao sect, it turns out that there are traces of it here. Ning Cheng muttered to himself, as he felt extremely sad in his heart. What he wanted was not for Qianghua to retain her memories. Retaining her memories and cutting off her emotions, what was the difference between her and Su Yingde? This is for you. Shi Qianghua did not know what to say, as she took out a mottled copper coin and placed it in Ning Cheng's hands. 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. Ning Cheng stared at the five elements treasure fall copper coin in his hand, while his thoughts drifted back to a distant place. For the current him, this magic treasure was perhaps more of a souvenir. Shi Qianghua silently looked at Ning Cheng, but did not interrupt Ning Cheng's thoughts. Not knowing for how long, Ning Cheng finally placed the copper coin in Shi Qianghua's hands and spoke, "Qianghua, this is something that I want to give to you. If you feel that you like it, then you can keep it with you. If you don't like it, just throw it away." Ning Cheng suddenly remembered that Tian Mu Wan had given his pearl hair clip to other people, and had even faked that other person's hand to throw it away, and could no longer speak a single word. Shi Qianghua grabbed the five elements treasure fall copper coin and spoke softly, "I will not throw it away. Even though I severed the emotions of my previous 9 lives because I successfully cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art, we can still start again." Ning Cheng looked up at Shi Qianghua in surprise, as he raised his hand and grabbed Shi Qianghua's hand, and spoke in a trembling voice, "Qianghua, are you willing to come with me?" Shi Qianghua did not break away from Ning Cheng's hand, as she looked at Ning Cheng and spoke in a soft voice, "I'm sorry, big brother Ning, I cannot go with you. I have to take the 3rd step, and then, maybe I will come find you." Speaking till the end, Shi Qianghua did not have the confidence to continue. "Did your mother also tell you this?" Ning Cheng felt a sense of loss in his heart. Shi Qianghua remained silent for a while before nodding, "Yes, my mother said that I can't go with you yet. If I go with you, the cultivation of my previous 9 lives would turn into bubbles. Since the founding of my 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond, I am the only one who has the hope of finding the first sect master. My mother and the sect's old ancestor have placed great hopes on me. This is a major event related to my 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond, So you are saying that you are willing to come with me?" Ning Cheng looked at Shi Qianghua's eyes as he spoke one word at a time. Shi Qianghua silently looked at Ning Cheng, and after a while, her eyes slowly softened. "I have never had any thoughts about any man, but in my 9th life, I ended up marrying you. I think I must have used my life to fall in love with you. Even if I cut off the emotions of my 9 lives because of cultivation, I can't cut off this memory." Ning Cheng's feelings for Shi Qianghua disappeared without a trace. He no longer cared about Shi Qianghua being the sacred lady of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond. He tightened his grip and pulled Shi Qianghua into his arms. Shi Qianghua's entire body trembled, before she unexpectedly no longer refused Ning Cheng's embrace. Instead, she quietly hugged Ning Cheng, while her body instantly turned soft. "My husband, if you want me now, then take me away." Ning Cheng suddenly pushed Shi Qianghua away, raised his hand, and dozens of hand seals fell onto Shi Qianghua's body. Ning Cheng forcibly sent several mysterious yellow origin auras into Shi Qianghua's body. Shi Qianghua's rapidly dissipating Tao charm once again condensed under Ning Cheng's hand seals. Ning Cheng wiped the blood from the corner of Shi Qianghua's mouth, clenched his fists and asked, "Qianghua, what's going on?" If it was the 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pond's doing, he would have immediately stepped back. Shi Qianghua's eyes turned gloomy. "I don't blame others, it's the cultivation method I cultivate. After I successfully cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique, I couldn't bear to cut off the bits and pieces of memories I had with you, so I secretly sealed them. Just now, I felt excited, and my emotional seal broke." Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique jade strip that he had just put aside and swept it with his spiritual consciousness. In just a short time, he understood what was going on. During the 9th life of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique, one had to cut off all the memories and emotions of the previous 8 lives. Shi Qianghua had one more life, and she had successfully cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique in her 10th life. Yet, she still dared to retain her emotional memories with him. This was simply courting death. If it weren't for the mysterious yellow origin aura and his powerful cultivation, Shi Qianghua would have already perished. If she retained her emotional memories, there was only one way to solve this hidden danger, and that was to step into the third step. However, once the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique entered the third step, it would cut off all the sealed memories and emotions. In other words, even if Shi Qianghua actively retained her memories, the 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique's great Tao would also cut it off. At that time, he and Shi Qianghua would become complete strangers. Ning Qing couldn't wait to crush this garbage cultivation method. It was such a difficult cultivation method to cultivate, yet the conditions to successfully cultivate it were so harsh. Did your mother bring you to the Grand Change realm to perfect your 9 revolutions sacred Tao technique? Ning Qing calmed down. He knew that anger wouldn't solve any problems. Shi Qianghua nodded, and, the first sect master of my 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond stepped into the third step in the Grand Change realm. My mother brought me and my sister here to find the place where the first sect master stepped into the third step and let me stay there for secluded cultivation. Ning Qing took in a deep breath. No wonder Shi Qianxi didn't care about him coming to see Shi Qianghua. It was because she knew that he couldn't take Shi Qianghua away. With Shi Qianghua by his side, the emotional seal would break again at any time. With the feelings between the two of them, not to mention that the emotional seal wouldn't be stable if they stayed together for too long, it would also be normal for the emotional seal to become unstable. As long as Shi Qianghua wasn't by his side, the influence of Shi Qianghua's memories wouldn't be too great. As Shi Qianghua's cultivation continued to deepen, the influence of her memories would also become weaker and weaker. It would also be normal for the Great Tao to cut off her memories after she stepped into the third step. Maybe your mother and 9 revolutions sacred Tao Pon Shuriqing knew that you sealed the seal, but they deliberately didn't stop you. Ning Qing felt powerless for the first time. If Shi Qianghua stayed by her mother's side, her cultivation would only grow stronger, and the influence of her memories would also weaken. If she stayed by his side, he wouldn't know what would happen in the end. Shi Qianghua wouldn't always have an accident in his arms. Once he left for a while, what would happen? Shi Qianghua shook her head. No, I sealed it myself, Seeing that Shi Qianghua was about to talk about something sad, Ning Qing quickly stopped her from talking. Qianghua, you should cultivate behind your mother. One day, I will find a way to solve it. Ning Qing made up his mind to not take Shi Qianghua away for the time being. Shi Qianghua shook her head and looked at Ning Qing for a while before speaking. I'm afraid that if I really stepped into the third step, I would no longer know who you are. It would be a lie if she didn't know who Ning Qing was. Once Shi Qianghua stepped into the third step, even if she knew who Ning Qing was, she feared that the Great Tao would cut off her emotions and would no longer have any influence on her. Ning Qing looked at Shi Qianghua and said, Qianghua, seal the emotional memories between us again. Just like what you told me before, since we can fall in love once, we can fall in love a second time. If you reach the third step before I find a way, then let me chase after a third step powerhouse as my wife. Shi Qianghua looked at Ning Qing in silence. She suddenly believed that even if she reached the third step one day, Ning Qing could still make her fall in love with him. Qianghua, remember, there is a kind of love that doesn't enter the samsara, regardless of time and space. No matter how strong the Great Tao is, it cannot cut it off. If the Great Tao cuts off that love, then we can do it again. If the Great Tao blocks us from doing it again, then I will cut off that Great Tao. Although I don't have the strength now, one day, I will be able to do it. You have to believe in me. Ning Qing looked into Shi Qianghua's eyes and spoke with a firm voice. Boom boom boom. Just as Ning Qing's voice fell, several roars resounded in the air. It was as if some kind of Great Tao felt that Ning Qing's words were too arrogant. All the people in the courtyard ran out and looked at the thunderous sky in horror, not knowing what had happened. Fortunately, the thunderous roars only lasted for a long time and did not slowly disappear. Shi Qianghua acted as if she did not hear the thunderous roars in the sky. After Ning Qing finished speaking, she solemnly nodded and spoke, I believe in you. Chapter 1244. Ning Qing left. He didn't continue to stay in the Grand Change realm. Before leaving, he put the 9 Dao suppression pagoda into a ring and gave it to Shi Qianghua. He had the everlasting Blue Thunder City and didn't need the 9 Dao suppression pagoda. The 5 elements treasure fault copper coin didn't have much use for Shi Qianghua, so he left the 9 Dao suppression pagoda for Shi Qianghua to slowly refine. With Di Wuxuan's cultivation method, it wouldn't be surprising if he wanted to refine the 9 Dao suppression pagoda as soon as possible. But Qianghua was different. Ning Qing hadn't figured out the cultivation method of the 9 Dao suppression pagoda yet, but he knew that a cultivation method that could derive the reincarnation spirit technique definitely wasn't simple. What's more, Qianghua didn't have a time limit for refining this pagoda. From the Grand Change realm to the Void City of the 5 realms, and then from the Void City to the closest teleportation array to the Grand Essence realm, Ning Qing remained silent. He kept thinking about the Grand Dao cultivation method of the 9 revolutions sacred Dao technique. He didn't know if anyone had cultivated the reincarnation spirit technique, nor did he know the difference between the reincarnation spirit technique of the 7 bridges spirit technique and the reincarnation spirit technique of the 9 revolutions sacred Dao technique. But if the 9 revolutions sacred Dao technique was truly a branch of the reincarnation spirit technique, then this cultivation method must be a top-grade cultivation method. It wasn't until the old fogey controlled the starry sky will to fly towards the Grand Essence realm that an E spoke up with worry, "Big Brother Ning, some things will be solved when the time comes. You don't have to worry about it. I'm most worried about the salvation adversity poison, one of the top 10 poisons in the world." When Ning Qing heard An Yi's words, he immediately realized that he had neglected An Yi. "An Yi, I'm sorry. I had something on my mind and didn't care about you," Ning Qing apologetically said. He had wrapped up the salvation adversity poison and didn't have the time to detoxify it. An Yi shook her head, "I'm fine. If you hadn't taken away my soul statue, I would have fallen into her hands." "Does that person sense you once you're with your statue?" Ning Qing asked as he recalled the terrifying void suppression from before. An Yi nodded, "Yes, once I get close to my soul statue, I would be sensed." "After you left the Yixing mainland, did you still go to the place where your statue was located?" Ning Qing recalled what An Yi had said before, that she had once gone to the place where her statue was located. An Yi quietly said, "When I was rescued, I knew that it was you who saved me, Big Brother Ning. That Temple of Fallen Stars is very dangerous, and I am afraid that Big Brother Ning might encounter an accident in order to save me, which is why I rushed there in a hurry. Fortunately, Big Brother Ning had already taken away my statue, so that I did not fall into her hands again." "Who the hell is she?" Ning Cheng's heart was filled with a trace of killing intent. An Yi was such a kind and gentle person, yet that person stripped away a trace of her spiritual soul and integrated it into a statue in the Temple of Fallen Stars. It was obviously to suppress something. This method was not much different from suppressing monsters in the underground abyss. An Yi shook her head and said, "I don't know, I only know that she was very beautiful. She was sitting on a lotus pedestal, the lotus pedestal seemed to be missing 3 petals. She wants to suppress the 2 pillars, and I'm not the only one suppressing the 2 pillars. I'm just suppressing the void of the eternal night domain's interface. I've seen those 2 pillars." Ning Qing immediately spoke up. He remembered the 2 pillars they had passed before entering the Temple of Fallen Stars with Song Qinghua. Now that he had advanced to the primordial chaos realm, his knowledge was completely different from before. As such, he did not know what these 2 pillars were. "Then can you merge with the spiritual soul in your statue now?" Ning Qing planned to look at the 2 pillars when he had the time. But now he was worried about An Yi's spiritual soul. If An Yi's spiritual soul was incomplete, her cultivation would definitely stagnate. "No, once I get close to my statue, she will immediately find my position." An Yi shook her head. Ning Qing smiled, "It doesn't matter. Open up your consciousness and follow me." An Yi was completely defenseless against Ning Qing. After listening to Ning Cheng's words, she did not hesitate to open up her consciousness. Ning Cheng waved his hand and brought an E into the mysterious yellow bead. Big brother Ning, is this your world? It's so beautiful. An E looked at the vast world of the mysterious yellow bead and exclaimed. Then she saw the statue not far from her, and the feeling of connecting with her soul made it difficult for her to breathe. She knew that as long as she wanted, she could complete her soul at any time. Thinking of this, an E subconsciously looked up at the sky. Ning Cheng, who was standing on the side, smiled and spoke, "You don't have to worry, this is my territory. Even if the person who stripped your soul was strong, she would not be able to penetrate my world." "Is your world not in the universe?" An E blurted out in shock. In her opinion, as long as she was in the universe, that person would be able to sense her. In her eyes, the strength of that person had already surpassed everything. Ning Cheng spoke with certainty, "You don't have to worry, no one can come into my world. Without my permission, no one can touch it. You can rest assured that you can merge with your soul here, and then improve your strength." An E still shook her head, "Big brother Ning, I still can't merge with my soul. My Tao essence cultivation method was given to me by her. Once I merge with my soul, my strength will definitely cross over to the second step. Once my strength crosses over to the second step, the Tao charm will soon be captured by her." Ning Cheng frowned slightly, and after a few minutes, he spoke, "Then you should change your cultivation method, I can help you derive a cultivation method." An E walked up to the statue, and gently stroked her statue. After a while, she spoke in a soft voice, "The cultivation method that I originally cultivated is very strong. If the new cultivation method is not as good as the original cultivation method, it would directly backfire on me, and I would not be able to change my cultivation method." Ning Cheng smiled, "You don't have to worry, even if I don't help you derive a cultivation method, the cultivation method that I take out will not be any weaker than the one she gave you. Have you ever heard of a karma cultivation method?" An E looked at Ning Cheng in amazement, "Big brother Ning, you have a karma cultivation method, which is ranked third among the top 10 cultivation methods. Naturally, it far surpasses the cultivation method that I originally cultivated. Moreover, this karma cultivation method has the Tao sense to dissolve karma, which is the most suitable cultivation method for the current me." "That's good." Ning Cheng took out 4 ancient jade strips and a ring and put them in An Yi's hand. "These are the 4 branches of the karma cultivation method. This ring contains the cultivation resources that you need. You can go ahead and cultivate them." An Yi's words were the same as Shi Qianqi's. Ning Cheng didn't care about whether it was one of the top 8 cultivation methods or the top 10 cultivation methods. The old fogey also said that he didn't know. For him, as long as he cultivated the top cultivation method, it would be fine. "Big brother Ning, the salvation adversity poison in you." An E didn't feel surprised because she got the cultivation method she should have. Instead, she still worried about the salvation adversity poison in Ning Cheng. "You can cultivate, but I also need to detoxify it. You know that I'm a primordial chaos pill saint with my own good fortune world. This poison can't stop me." Ning Cheng spoke with certainty to reassure An E. An E knew that even if she worried, she couldn't help Ning Cheng. The most important thing right now was for her to integrate with her soul as soon as possible and improve her strength. Just a month later, the old fogey came to call Ning Cheng. "Senior, we've reached the outside of the Grand Essence realm." Ning Cheng sighed and walked out of the inner cabin of the Starry Sky Wheel. Over the past month, he had deduced a preliminary detoxification plan for the salvation adversity poison. He needed something that could decompose and corrode spiritual consciousness, and only the illusory sea-crossing crystal could do this. In addition, he also needed a divine grass that could not only stop the dissipating Tao charm but also condense the Tao charm at the same time. Ning Cheng had read about the universe vegetation and knew that the stainless water could do this. Whether it was the illusory sea-crossing crystal or the stainless water, they were both extremely rare things. Compared to the void dewdrops, these things weren't any easier to obtain. Ning Cheng had only seen them in the universe vegetation. He had participated in many auctions and visited various makeshift merchant houses, but he had never seen or heard of these two materials. If it were an ordinary person, these two materials would be enough to drive them into despair. But what made people even more desperate was that Ning Cheng also deduced that to refine the detoxification pill, apart from these two main materials, he also needed one more thing. That was the bestowing lawless fruit. Ning Cheng knew the preciousness of the bestowing lawless fruit better than anyone else. It was a treasure of the Blue True Hope tribe, and even he might not be able to obtain it. Fortunately, he had some friendship with a Pli of the Blue True Hope tribe. He even gave the Blue True Hope tribe's imperial jade seal to a Pli. He had heard that it was the Blue True Hope tribe's ancient desolate wish butterfly. Originally, he thought that he would never have a chance to meet a Pli again. But now, for the sake of his life, he had to enter the land of broken laws again. Seeing Ning Cheng put away the starry sky wheel and not seeing an E, the old fogey didn't speak any nonsense. It would have been strange if a senior like Ning Cheng didn't have a top-grade world. Even for him, the heaven and earth cauldron had formed a world of its own. Let's go. Ning Cheng called out to the old fogey and landed at the entrance of the Grand Essence Realm's defensive array. Greetings Tao Monarch, Tao Monarch. As soon as Ning Cheng appeared, the cultivators outside the Grand Essence Realm's protective array immediately recognized Ning Cheng and came over to greet him. Although Ning Cheng didn't appear often, Ning Cheng's prestige in the Grand Essence Realm was unmatched. The old fogey followed behind Ning Cheng, feeling very proud in his heart. He felt that he had a good vision, following behind his seniors and occasionally helping them fight. How could he, an expired heavenly emperor, compare to such glory? Tao Monarch is back. Li Feng had already rushed out with a group of people, and even Chu Manhe had followed them. Chu Manhe was in the Tao Perfection realm, and it would be difficult for her to make any progress in a short time. As soon as Ning Cheng came back, she received the news and followed him. When Ning Cheng saw half of the 10 court pillars arrive, he quickly greeted everyone one by one. Tao Monarch Ning Cheng looks even more elegant than before. The prosperity of the Grand Essence Realm is only a matter of time. After Ning Cheng finished greeting everyone, a man squeezed in the corner came forward and congratulated Ning Cheng with cupped fists. So it's Xiao Hutting. Long time no see, long time no see. Ning Cheng chuckled and pretended to have just seen him and greeted him politely. A Tao Perfection powerhouse like Xiao Qiandong, Ning Cheng had already noticed him the moment he arrived. Ning Cheng didn't have much interest in pretending to be polite to someone like Xiao Qiandong, who only cared about benefits. Moreover, Ning Cheng knew the purpose of this guy's visit. He just wanted to invite him to heavens beyond to set up a teleportation array. If Ning Cheng didn't know about the intricate forces in heavens beyond, he might have reluctantly set it up casually. Now, Ning Cheng knew that Li Jianqing in the Great Beginning Realm was dreaming. If he wanted to be more practical, he would go to heavens beyond to occupy a piece of territory first, just like him. Chapter 1245. After exchanging pleasantries, Xiao Qiandong didn't even wait for Ning Cheng to return to Heaven Essence Sacred City's Tao Court before speaking up. Tao Lord Ning promised to arrange a few teleportation arrays for my Taichu Tao Court. But because Tao Lord was busy, I didn't dare disturb you. Now that I'm finally free, I hope that Tao Lord Ning will take the trouble. Without waiting for Xiao Qiandong to finish, Ning Cheng gave out a sigh. Xiao Hutting, I originally planned to go to Absolute Beginning to arrange a teleportation array for Tao Monarch Li. However, when I passed by the Great Change Realm, I learned that the Great Change Realm's underground abyss was overflowing with demonic creatures. Although the Great Change Realm has invaded my Great Simplicity Realm, how can I watch so many innocent people fall into the hands of the devils? I stayed in the Great Change Realm and worked together with Xingwen Realm Lord and the others to kill the devils. Fortunately, we were able to suppress the demon and seal it again. Unfortunately, I was poisoned by the Saha adversity poison. What? Not only was Xiao Qiandong shocked, even Li Feng and the others were looking at Ning Cheng in shock. What was the Shore Calamity poison? This was one of the 10 most notorious poisons in the world. Just think about the vein bone poison that had tortured Kang Xiushan to death. The Shore Adversity poison was even more terrifying than the vein bone poison because it had no antidote. Ning Cheng might be a pill sage, but he could also refine Dao detoxification pills. But you also need to have medicinal ingredients for you to refine. No matter how good a chef is, it would be useless if there is no rice to cook. Xiao Qiandong took a deep breath and asked in disbelief, "You've really been poisoned by the Salvation Adversity poison?" Ning Cheng nodded cautiously. "When I was poisoned by the Sorrow poison, Xingwen Realm Lord and many others saw it. Dao friend Xiao doesn't have to go to Grand Change City. You can ask around in the 5 Realms Void City. If I don't find a way to detoxify the poison, I'm afraid I'll die before I reach the absolute beginning. Please forgive me, Xiao Hutting." At that time, Xiao Qiandong had been a two-faced hypocrite, but Ning Cheng did not mind playing a hypocrite with him. Not to mention the fact that he was still poisoned, even if the poison was cured, he would not go to absolute beginning to help. That would be courting death. Since Ning Cheng had spoken to this point, even if Xiao Qiandong was not tactful, he could only take his leave. "Ning Cheng, are you really poisoned?" Chu Manhe couldn't help but ask as soon as Xiao Qiandong left. Ning Cheng gave a heavy nod. "That's right, I was indeed poisoned. I came back to see if there's anything else. If there's nothing important, I'll probably go out to find the antidote. But there's no cure for the sorrow poison." Li Feng spoke out in worry. Among all the court pillars, he was the one who cared about Ning Cheng the most. "Court Lord Li, don't worry. I know what I'm doing. The Saha disaster poison can't do anything to me for now. I can suppress it. I wonder how the battle with the demon vein is going." When Ning Cheng left, the Taisu Dao court and the demon vein were still fighting. Although he knew that the Taisu Dao court would definitely win, he did not know the result yet. Phoenix Li hurriedly explained, "Dao Lord Proud Dance of the monster lineage battled against fellow Daoist Chu. Dao Lord Proud Dance voluntarily retreated and paid the price. As long as you don't enter the deepest part of the demon vein, the Grand Essence Domain's cultivators can directly cross the demon vein." Ning Cheng nodded. The existence of demon veins was necessary. Only through competition and baptism of blood could the Grand Essence realm continue to grow. The demonic beasts of the Grand Essence Sea and the demonic beasts of the demon vein were essential factors for the existence of the Grand Essence realm. "By the way, Dao Lord Proud Dance invited you to visit the demon vein. She said that she has something to discuss with you." Phoenix Li spoke up again. Chu Manhe also spoke up. "Proud Dance is very powerful. If I fight with all my might, I might not be able to stop her." No one cared about Ning Cheng advancing from Dao Essence to Dao Origin Realm in just one trip. They had long since become numb to Ning Cheng's cultivation speed. Ning Cheng pondered for a moment before saying, "I'll go back to the Grand Essence Mountain first, and then leave the Grand Essence Realm." "Are you looking for a cure for the sorrow poison?" Chu Manhe asked worriedly. Too many people knew about the sorrow poison, so Ning Cheng didn't bother to hide it. "Yes, I'm going to detoxify it. As for meeting Proud Dance, I'll push it back." Ning Cheng cared about the Grand Essence realm, but he couldn't ignore his own life and death. He could suppress the sorrow poison now, but it was still one of the top 10 poisons in the world. Moreover, it was one of the top 10 poisons without a cure. If he couldn't suppress it one day, wouldn't he just be waiting for death? The first place he wanted to go after returning was the land of broken laws to look for the bestowing lawless fruit. After finding the bestowing lawless fruit, he would immediately head to the mysterious yellow heavens beyond to look for the mirage sea crystal and stainless water along the way. He also planned to ask Cheng Ho Tian to help him find these two things. He knew that these two things couldn't be placed in the Grand Essence realm. Such extremely rare top-grade treasures could only appear in the mysterious yellow heavens beyond. Ning Cheng was poisoned, and the Grand Essence Dao Court didn't have any major issues. Naturally, no one came to waste Ning Cheng's time. Ning Cheng, Chu Manhe, and the old fogey returned directly to the Grand Essence Mountain. The old fogey knew that the Grand Essence Mountain was Ning Cheng's residence. Coupled with the beautiful environment and abundant spiritual qi, he immediately asked Ning Cheng for a mountain peak and settled down here. The old fogey knew about Ning Cheng's search for the Five Earths. Moreover, Ning Cheng was a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court. How could he not guess that Ning Cheng wanted to repair the Grand Essence realm? Regardless of whether Ning Cheng could repair the Grand Essence realm or not, he had no intention of leaving this place. Ning Ruoqing and Ning Ruolan were still in seclusion. Therefore, when Ji Luofei learned that Ning Cheng had returned, she immediately stopped cultivating. After learning that Ning Cheng was poisoned by the Salvation Adversity poison, she couldn't wait to go out with Ning Cheng to find the antidote. But thinking that Ning Ruolan and Ning Ruoqing were both in the Grand Essence Mountain, Ji Luofei resisted the idea of going out with Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng stayed in the Grand Essence Mountain for a day before leaving the Grand Essence realm. An was still in the process of fusing with her spirit soul and even had to change her cultivation method. Therefore, she could only stay in the mysterious yellow bead. Land of Broken Laws. This was Ning Cheng's second time coming here. The first time, he had been chased by Man Huishan and escaped with the help of the Land of Broken Laws. But this time, he specifically came to the Land of Broken Laws to look for the bestowing lawless fruit. As soon as Ning Cheng entered the Land of Broken Laws, he felt a suppression without any laws. Here, his spiritual consciousness instantly weakened to the lowest level, and even his Dao charm aura felt restrained. Unlike when he was in the eternal realm, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could sweep out without any hindrance. This was because his great Dao had long since surpassed ordinary Dao fusion powerhouses and formed his own Law Dao charm. Law spirit techniques couldn't be used in the Land of Broken Laws. But for Ning Cheng, who already had an embryonic form of the Dao of returning to one, he could still use his law spirit techniques here. It's just that the power would drop without limit. For Ning Cheng, the speed of a starry sky battleship was just too slow. At his level, he didn't need a starry sky battleship to travel through the Land of Broken Laws. In just a dozen days, Ning Cheng once again arrived outside the canyon of the Blue True Hope tribe. This time, he mainly came here to look for the bestowing lawless fruit. Even if he passed through the Valley of Peace, he didn't bother to go in and take a look. Ning Cheng had come here once before, and he knew that the Blue True Hope tribe's territory lay beyond this canyon. If he were still in the eternal realm, Ning Cheng would never have dared to cross the canyon like this. At that time, he had risked his life to steal the bestowing lawless fruit. If it weren't for Li's help, he would have fallen into Lan Bing's hands a second time. Lan Bing was beautiful to the extreme, but also vicious to the extreme. Ning Cheng believed that the Blue True Hope tribe wouldn't pose too much of a threat to him right now. Therefore, he still walked into the canyon with extreme caution. In this place, his strength was suppressed to less than 1/10,000th. Therefore, he had to be careful. Not to mention the vicious Lan Bing, even the Blue True Hope tribe's statue plaza was a bit strange. Lan Bing's chanting not only suppressed a cultivator's spiritual consciousness, but it could also release an attack. Ning Cheng estimated that with his body-refining strength, even if Lan Bing attacked him, it wouldn't cause any fatal injuries. However, the Blue True Hope tribe was a bit strange. Who knew if they had other killing moves? It wasn't the first time Ning Cheng had seen a boat capsized in a ditch. Any race that was able to survive would definitely have their own means. Despising these races would only lead to death. Ning Cheng would never underestimate the Blue True Hope tribe just because he had the strength to deal with Dao perfection experts. Passing through the canyon, Ning Cheng only saw one or two unfamiliar Hope tribesmen standing guard beside the statue in the plaza. Compared to the last time he came here, this place looked even colder. Ning Cheng's gaze suddenly fell in front of the statue, and he couldn't even believe his eyes. Li knelt in front of the statue with her upper body naked and seemed to be praying devoutly. No, Ning Cheng quickly saw that Li wasn't praying, but was imprisoned in front of the statue. Ning Cheng immediately thought of Lan Bing. This woman had imprisoned his essence spirit in front of the statue to worship. Now, it seemed that she had placed Li here to worship. Unlike him back then, Li was imprisoned here along with her corporeal body. Ning Cheng clearly remembered that this beautiful woman, Li, was Lan Bing's aunt and seemed to be the previous queen. If this was done by Lan Bing, then this woman was too vicious. After just a few breaths, Ning Cheng knew that he had guessed correctly. It was indeed done by Lan Bing. His spiritual consciousness swept into Lan Bing's room and saw Lan Bing sitting on the pink bed, stroking her eyebrows. There was a butterfly-shaped mark between her eyebrows. A familiar aura arrived, causing Ning Cheng to suspect that the butterfly imprint was actually his imperial jade seal. But he had given the hope-powered jade seal to Li, so why was it with Lan Bing? If Li had given his jade seal to Lan Bing, then Lan Bing wouldn't have imprisoned Li in front of the statue, right? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness once again fell on the butterfly mark and confirmed that he wasn't mistaken. This butterfly mark was the aura of his jade seal. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept past Lan Bing seemed to feel something and suddenly raised her head to look in Ning Cheng's direction. Ning Cheng quickly retracted his spiritual consciousness. He felt that the Blue True Hope tribe wasn't simple. Chapter 1246. Knowing that Lan Bing could even sense his spiritual consciousness, Ning Cheng didn't continue to use his spiritual consciousness to check on Lan Bing. He decided to steal the bestowing lawless fruit first. Once he obtained it, he would come back to save Li. As for Lan Bing, he didn't intend to do anything to her in the Blue True Hope tribe's lair. If this woman dared to chase after him, he would kill her directly. The Blue True Hope tribe's lair was a bit strange, especially the statue. Now that his cultivation was suppressed and the poison had yet to be cured, he couldn't let anything go wrong. After waiting for a few minutes, Ning Cheng didn't see Lan Bing come out. So, he circled around the square where the statue was located. What made Ning Cheng frown was that he didn't see the two trees like last time. Since he couldn't see the two trees, he couldn't find the location of the bestowing lawless fruit. The last time he came here, he had arranged a temporary teleportation array. But this time, there was no teleportation array. From the looks of it, he could only find the two hidden trees to enter the location of the bestowing lawless fruit. Although there were no laws here and his spiritual consciousness was suppressed, Ning Cheng wasn't worried about not being able to find the place. If he couldn't find this concealment array with his attainments in the Tao of Arrays, then no one in the Grand Essence realm would be able to find it. Ning Cheng took out a few array flags and carefully threw them out. In less than half an incense stick worth of time, the two hidden giant trees appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng put away the array flags without hesitation, and before the two giant trees could hide themselves again, he disappeared into the giant trees. A place filled with all kinds of broken laws appeared in front of Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng wasn't unfamiliar with this place. He had come here once before. The last time he came here, he had followed Joey to help the Blue True Hope tribe kill the enemies, but the result was disappointing. If it weren't for him being a body-refining powerhouse, Lan Bing would have killed him back then. Lan Bing, this woman, had no gratitude in her eyes, only benefits. With her temperament, snatching her aunt's jade seal and imprisoning her aunt to worship the statue, she was completely capable of doing such a thing. After Ning Cheng stopped, his spiritual consciousness swept out a little further and found that the white mist still lingering around it was still there. Ning Cheng's figure flashed and disappeared into it. Just like the last time, Ning Cheng only saw two ripple-like gray fruits. The number was far less than the last time. He didn't know if they were hidden in another location or not. This gray fruit-like spiritual sense couldn't penetrate it, and it looked incomparably illusory. Without any hesitation, Ning Cheng took out 2 jade boxes and put the 2 bestowing lawless fruits into the jade boxes. With Ning Cheng's strength, even if his spiritual consciousness was suppressed, he would still be extremely cautious in doing these things. Even so, as soon as he put away the 2 bestowing lawless fruits, the white mist around him suddenly dissipated, and the next moment, his whole body was exposed. An even more terrifying heaven and earth suppressive strength descended upon him. In just a breath of time, his divine sense rapidly shrank. Ning Cheng felt shocked. In just 1 or 2 breaths, his strength would fall to the point where he couldn't even compare to an eternal cultivator. This blue true hope tribe really is a bit strange. His great Tao was solid, and his sea of consciousness was strong. That was why he was able to react when his strength was suppressed into nothingness. If it were someone else, they might not even be able to escape. Ning Cheng was extremely decisive. In this kind of suppression, the first thing he did was to go around the 2 hidden giant trees. His cultivation was suppressed to the extreme, but his array Tao level was still there. He had just broken this top-grade concealment array not too long ago, so it didn't take him much effort to get out. Ning Cheng had just walked out of the 2 giant trees when he heard a sharp cry coming from behind. He was familiar with this voice. It was Lan Bing. If it weren't for this place being too strange, he would have killed Lan Bing with a single slap. With the bestowing lawless fruits in hand, and 2 at that, Ning Cheng naturally wouldn't stay here any longer. He rushed directly to the public square where the statue was located. But before Ning Cheng could leave with Li, who was worshipping on the public square, the same terrifying pressure descended. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness continued to fall sharply, and even his spirit essence was suppressed. At this moment, Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to care about these things. With a wave of his hand, he broke through the power of hope restriction imprisoning Li and rushed out of the canyon with Li. Just as Ning Cheng left, Lan Bing landed on the public square. She looked in the direction where Ning Cheng disappeared in shock, her whole body trembling. She wasn't just angry, but also afraid. Under the double suppression of the Blue True Hope tribe's statue in the land of broken laws and her, the king, the other party could break through the power of hope and take away a person. Just how terrifying was his strength? With such strength, not to mention snatching away 2 bestowing lawless fruits and taking away a person. He might even be able to destroy the entire lair of her Blue True Hope tribe. After understanding this, Lan Bing no longer dared to chase after him. Here, she could still call herself a king. But once she went out, facing such a powerhouse, she, Lan Bing, wouldn't even count as an ant. The Blue True Hope tribe couldn't stay here. They had to move again. This was Lan Bing's only thought. She subconsciously looked up at the increasingly dim statue of the Blue True Hope tribe. She thought that after finding the ancient desolate hope butterfly, it would only be a matter of time before the Blue True Hope tribe grew stronger in her hands. But now, it seemed that things weren't that simple. As for her Aunt Li being taken away, she didn't think much about it. Her Aunt Li worshipped in the public square with her upper body bare. Only she could compare to her beauty in the entire Blue True Hope tribe. Any male cultivator who came here would probably want to take her back and serve her. After Ning Cheng walked out of the canyon, he slowed down. He had no intention of escaping at all. If Lan Bing dared to chase after him, he wouldn't mind teaching this woman a lesson. He didn't believe that Lan Bing would be able to suppress his strength indefinitely once he left the Blue True Hope tribe's territory like she did inside. Looking for a flat place, Ning Cheng put Li on the ground. Li remained unconscious, as if she had fallen into an endless sleep. Even if Ning Cheng removed the shackles on her, she still remained unconscious. Ning Cheng had come into contact with the power of hope and could vaguely feel that Li was constantly using her vitality and spirit soul to worship a wish. Ning Cheng didn't need to ask to know that this was Lan Bing's doing. If Ning Cheng still had the same cultivation as the last time he came here, he could only watch helplessly in the face of such a situation. But now, even in the land of broken laws, Ning Qing didn't care about the shackles of the power of hope. He raised his hand and placed hundreds of handprints on Li's body again, causing the loss of Li's life force and power of hope to gradually weaken. Her spirit, which had been worshipping for a long time, also slowly stabilized. When Ning Qing put 2 medicinal pills into Li's mouth, she finally woke up. Ning Qing took out a robe and put it on her without saying anything. He could tell that Li had been worshipping the statue here for many years now. If he had come a year or 2 later, Li would have become a soulless person forever worshipping the statue. "It's you, Ning Qing." Li recognized Ning Qing and struggled to stand up. Her face was pale, and her vitality was so fragile that it could dissipate at any moment. Ning Qing sighed and said, "It's me. How did you end up like this? Did Lan Bing imprison you and make you worship the Blue True Hope Tribe statue?" Li looked back at the canyon not far away and looked at Ning Qing in panic. "Did you kill Lan Bing? Did you destroy the Blue True Hope Tribe?" Ning Qing shook his head. "Not yet, but I can help you take revenge. As long as I'm ready, I can easily kill Lan Bing." Ning Qing wasn't bragging. He had almost been imprisoned by the Hope Tribe's power of hope in the middle of the public square. Now, he had to go in from the outside. Using an array formation to break in and being imprisoned inside were 2 different things. "Don't!" Li quickly cried out. After that, she looked at Ning Qing in panic. "Please don't destroy the Blue True Hope Tribe. It's not easy for the Hope Tribe to survive to this day. Li only attacked me for the sake of the Hope Tribe. I'm sorry, but the ancient desolate hope butterfly you gave me." Not waiting for Li to finish, Ning Qing spoke up in a calm voice, "I know. Since I gave it to you, it's yours." "Did she discover the ancient desolate wish butterfly on your body and made a move on you to snatch it away?" Li nodded. "My Blue True Hope Tribe is a grateful race. The reason we can survive until now is because of gratitude. Lan Bing's heart is too cruel and her temperament is too cold. I don't think she's suitable to lead my Blue True Hope Tribe, so I didn't plan to give her the ancient desolate hope butterfly. Just when I was about to leave here and go out to find a suitable king for my Blue True Hope Tribe, she learned that I had the ancient desolate hope butterfly. You know what happened next? This woman is too vicious. I'm sure that the Blue True Hope Tribe would perish in her hands. What are you going to do now? Do you still want to go back?" Ning Qing asked. If Li wanted to go back, Ning Qing would never stop her. Everyone had their own beliefs, and Li was willing to dedicate her life to the Blue True Hope Tribe. Ning Qing didn't have many words to persuade her. Besides, he still couldn't figure out why he was poisoned. Li looked at the canyon for a while before slowly shaking her head. "My power of hope and life have all been handed over to the statue. From now on, I'm no longer a member of the Blue True Hope Tribe. Since you don't want to go back, then come out with me. I don't have anything else here, but I have a lot of cultivation methods." Ning Qing waved his hand and said. He didn't have the slightest good impression of the Blue True Hope Tribe. As for taking away the 2 bestowing lawless fruits, he didn't feel even the slightest bit of remorse. The ancient desolate hope butterfly was the Blue True Hope Tribe's premier treasure. Moreover, the ancient desolate hope butterfly that Lan Bing snatched away belonged to him. He had given it to Li, not Lan Bing. Li suddenly knelt on the ground. "Ali is willing to worship you as a master." "Please, master." Ning Qing looked at Li in a daze. "I'm younger than you. How can I be your master?" Li's eyes looked a little bleak, but she didn't speak. Ning Qing immediately understood what she meant. Li had always stayed in the Blue True Hope Tribe. Now that she came out of the Blue True Hope Tribe, she had neither the power of hope nor any cultivation. One could say that she wasn't even as good as an ordinary person. If she was sent to any place, with her appearance, the only chance she had was to become someone's plaything and die. Therefore, she wanted to worship him as a master to find someone to rely on. Chapter 1247. Ningqing thought for a moment, and then said, "Giving you the cultivation method, does not mean that I have to be your master. How can I accept disciples when I haven't reached the great Tao? However, you don't have to worry. I plan to open an alchemy and weapon pavilion in a place called Heavens Beyond. You can stay there and cultivate while helping me look after the alchemy and weapon pavilion. Li is willing." Li was worried that Ningqing would leave her in a random place and let her fend for herself. If that was the case, it wouldn't make much difference whether she went out or not. Ningqing, on seeing that Lan Bing didn't intend to chase after them, didn't plan to go back in and directly took Li away. "Big brother Ning, if it weren't for you, I'm afraid that I would have been suppressed under the statue of the ancient desolation wish butterfly for all eternity before finally perishing." Seeing that Ningqing didn't intend to destroy the Blue True Hope tribe, Li also felt slightly relieved. Although she had now decided to separate herself from the Blue True Hope tribe, she was still a member of the Blue True Hope tribe, and even a king at that. Li, just call me Ningqing from now on. By the way, what exactly is the power of hope that the Blue True Hope tribe cultivates? Although Ningqing didn't know anything about the power of hope, he still didn't understand much about the mysterious Blue True Hope tribe. Li remained silent. Seeing this, Ningqing quickly spoke up, "If it's not convenient for you to say it, then you don't have to say it. I don't have much interest in understanding your Blue True Hope tribe." Li shook her head, "It's not that it's inconvenient, I just don't know where to start. In the future, I will no longer be a member of the Blue True Hope tribe. In fact, the reason why the Blue True Hope tribe became the Hope tribe was only because of the relationship between their cultivation method and the power of hope. The Blue True Hope tribe doesn't cultivate spirit essence or spiritual consciousness, instead, they only cultivate the power of hope. The Blue True Hope tribe's cultivation method is called the life of predestined hope. A long time ago, our Hope tribe also called this cultivation method the art of destiny. Actually, after cultivating for so long, he had already lost a lot of his predestined wishes. I heard that a long time ago, Fate of Fate didn't just cultivate wish power, it could also cultivate divine sense and divine essence like Dharma cultivators. Fate magic? Ningqing couldn't help but feel shocked when he heard this. To be honest, he really didn't put the cultivation method practiced by the Blue True Hope tribe in his eyes. It was a cultivation method that could only rely on absorbing the power of prayers from others. Even if cultivated to the extreme, it would still rely on the power of hope from prayers. Li's words indicated that the cultivation method cultivated by the Blue True Hope tribe had an extraordinary origin. It was most likely the Fate cultivation method ranked second among the 8 major cultivation methods mentioned by that old fogey. Perhaps the Fate of Fate was a branch of the Fate cultivation technique. Ningqing swept away his previous indifference and sighed, "Li, it looks like I underestimated your Blue True Hope tribe before. The Blue True Hope tribe cultivates the art of destiny, and its origin is no small matter. But why did they lose part of it later?" Li shook his head and said, "I don't know much about these things. I only became the king by chance. In fact, I don't have the pure bloodline of the Blue True Hope tribe. In other words, my Hope tribe's bloodline isn't pure. I heard that I'm just a bastard." The Blue True Hope tribe withered, and the elders of the tribe could only let me barely become the king. After Lan Bing was found, I took the initiative to abdicate the throne. How do you distinguish the bloodlines? Ningqing felt puzzled. Although the Blue True Hope tribe had many men, he didn't see any pairs of Tao companions. Li understood Ningqing's meaning and replied, "The Blue True Hope tribe is a matriarchal race, and men have no status. Moreover, the king must be extremely beautiful and have a pure bloodline. Only then can one cultivate the Fate of Fate cultivation method." But even so, the Blue True Hope tribe's art of destiny gradually disappeared. I heard that a long time ago, the Blue True Hope tribe cultivated to the extreme and could control destiny. As for using the power of hope, it's just a means. Li had stayed in the Blue True Hope tribe for a long time, so her knowledge naturally couldn't compare to Ning Cheng. Hearing this, Ning Cheng had a rough guess. The Blue True Hope tribe cultivated the art of destiny. The power of hope was just a spirit technique among the art of destiny. The real art of destiny eventually disappeared, but this spirit technique remained and became the main cultivation method of the Blue True Hope tribe. Ning Cheng suddenly thought of the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond. The 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond cultivated the 9 revolutions sacred Tao art, which also had something to do with the samsara of destiny. More importantly, the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond was a matriarchal inheritance. He didn't know if the 9 revolutions sacred Tao pond had anything to do with the Blue True Hope tribe. But the next time he met Shuriqing, he would have to ask her about it. More than 10 days later, Ning Cheng left the land of broken laws with Li. After sending Li into the mysterious yellow bead for cultivation, Ning Cheng brought out the starry sky wheel and hurried on with his journey. Although he had suppressed the salvation adversity poison, it was still a big hidden danger. This time, he didn't stay in the Grand Essence realm for long because he wanted to get rid of the salvation adversity poison. Ning Cheng's control over the starry sky wheel was a level faster than the old fart's control. In just over 3 months, Ning Cheng arrived at the Thousand Leaps Void City. If it were any other Void City, Ning Cheng would have immediately found a teleportation array and teleported to the next Void City. But the Thousand Leaps Void City was different. Ning Cheng had obtained the released soil from Cloudlight Dao Court's Dao monarch Lei Shiran. Ning Cheng remembered Lei Shiran saying that if he came to the Thousand Leaps Void City in the future, he would definitely gain a lot. Ning Cheng hadn't thought about coming to the Thousand Leaps Void City. But now that he had passed by, he naturally wanted to ask around and see what kind of harvest he had. Ning Cheng easily found out that the Thousand Leaps Void City's largest merchant house was the Thousand Ren Merchant House. If Ning Cheng wanted to ask around, he naturally went straight to the Thousand Ren Merchant House. The release soil was one of the 5 major Chaos Earths. Even if the Thousand Ren Merchant House didn't sell it, the Thousand Ren Merchant House would definitely know about it. Back then, Lei Shiran had said that the Thousand Ren Void City wasn't just for the release soil. I want to sell 2 Heaven Essence Heavenly Pills. After Ning Cheng arrived at the Thousand Ren Merchant House, he took out a jade bottle and placed it in front of the shop assistant at the counter. This was the easiest way to talk to the manager of the Thousand Ren Merchant House. The shop assistant did not respond at first, but when he came to understand that it was the Heavenly Heaven pill, he directly threw the original customer to the side, and hurriedly arrived in front of Ning Cheng. This Dao friend, what kind of pill did you say a moment ago? Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill. Ning Cheng knocked the jade bottle on the counter. You didn't hear it wrong. It's a Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill. I want to talk to the manager of your merchant house. Can I have a look? The shop assistant's tone was even trembling. He had heard that the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill was very difficult to refine or even impossible to refine. As a shop assistant of the Void City's #1 merchant house, he naturally knew that the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill really existed. Even the customer who had been left behind by the shop assistant swallowed his words and stared at the jade bottle that Ning Cheng had placed on the counter. The Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill might not be valuable in Ning Cheng or even the most valuable item in the Infinite Realm auction. However, in a place like the Thousand Ren Void City, the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill was definitely a top-notch treasure. There were many primordial Tao Divine Emperors in heavens beyond. How many planes did they come from? In some ordinary void cities, primordial Tao Divine Emperors were still powerful existences. Countless Tao Transformation Divine Emperors had experienced life and death in the void in order to prove their second step Tao, primordial Tao. The Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill was a Tao pill that could allow first-step Tao Divine Emperors to reach second-step Primordial Tao. Even one such medicinal pill was a priceless treasure in a place like the Thousand Ren Void City, let alone two. Of course, take a look. Ning Qing smiled. The shop assistant opened the jade bottle and scanned his spirit sense in. Soon, he closed the jade bottle and said excitedly, "Tao friend, please wait a moment. Our shopkeeper will be here soon." Ning Qing did not have the time to speak, when a lightning-fast hand shadow reached out to grab it. Ning Cheng's hand swept out, and the jade bottle immediately fell into his hands, while the hand shadow grabbed empty air. "What, you want to rob in broad daylight?" Ning Cheng's face went cold as he stared at a man with a flat nose. This guy wore a space linen robe and was Tao Transformation Peak Stage. A mere Tao Transformation Divine Emperor dared to rob the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill in front of him. He was asking to die. The shop assistant also stared at this Tao Transformation Divine Emperor coldly. These two Heaven Essence Heavenly Pills were things that Thousand Ren Merchant House had to want. Yet, someone dared to rob here. "Qian Bei, please calm down. Wan Bei isn't robbing. Wan Bei just wants to see if it's really the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill. If it is, Wan Bei is willing to trade something with Qian Bei." The Tao Transformation Divine Emperor quickly explained. "Oh, what do you have to trade with me?" Ning Cheng's gaze fell on the Tao Transformation Divine Emperor. The Tao Transformation Divine Emperor quickly said, "I need to know if it's really the Heaven Essence Heavenly Pill before I can show Qian Bei my thing." Ning Cheng threw the jade bottle to the Tao Transformation Divine Emperor and said, "Then have a look. After that, show me your thing." Even if this Tao Transformation Divine Emperor was extremely powerful, he wouldn't be able to escape from him. Therefore, Ning Cheng simply did not care about it as he threw the jade bottle to him. The Tao Transformation Divine Emperor caught the jade bottle and paused for a moment. He didn't expect to get the jade bottle so easily. Was this person not afraid of him running? But Ning Cheng's cultivation level seemed immeasurable. His actions just then were already very fast and he attacked without any warning. Even so, he didn't get the jade bottle. One could see that this Qian Bei wasn't afraid of him running at all. The Tao Transformation Divine Emperor thanked Ning Cheng and scanned his spirit sense in. In just a second, he closed the jade bottle in joy and said, "Qian Bei, I'm willing to trade. This is my thing, please have a look." As he spoke, the Tao Transformation Divine Emperor took out a jade box and put it in Ning Cheng's hand. His heart was thumping wildly. Although he knew that the value of his things was far higher than the two Heavenly Heaven Pills, these two Heavenly Heaven Pills were what he wanted the most. These were special grade Heavenly Heaven Pills. Ning Cheng didn't even open the jade box and scanned his spirit sense in. When he saw what was inside, there was shock in his eyes and he said, "Okay, I agree to the trade." "Wait." Ning Cheng's voice had just fallen when a voice arrived. Chapter 1248. Seeing this, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor recognized the person who told him to stop. He quickly put away the jade bottle and was about to leave. "Stop." The man stopped the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. It was a middle-aged man with Tao Essence Tertiary Stage cultivation. Ning Qing guessed he was the manager of Qian Ren Merchant Tower. "Qian Ren Qian Bei, I've already traded with this Qian Bei." The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor clearly felt wary of this middle-aged man. The middle-aged man said calmly, "This is Qian Ren Merchant Tower. Even if you want to trade, you have to ask Qian Ren Merchant Tower's permission. If everyone casually transacts in my Qian Ren Merchant House, how can my Qian Ren Merchant House do business?" The Tao Actualization Divine Emperor's face looked bad but he didn't dare to refute this middle-aged man. Not only was this person stronger than him, but this place also belonged to Qian Ren Merchant Tower. Ning Cheng saw the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor look at him and smiled, "You can leave. No one will stop you." The middle-aged Tao Essence Divine Emperor's face changed. He looked at Ning Cheng and said, "Tao friend, although my Qianren merchant tower will trade with you, our rules aren't something an outsider can interfere with." Ning Cheng ignored the middle-aged Tao Essence Divine Emperor. He looked at the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor who didn't dare to move and said, "I told you to leave. Don't blame others for not leaving." Hearing this, the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor finally gritted his teeth and charged out. "You're courting death." The middle-aged Tao Essence Divine Emperor didn't have time to look for trouble with Ning Cheng. He grabbed towards the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor. But as soon as he formed the hand seal, he found himself bound by a powerful space law. At this moment, he couldn't move at all. He could only watch as the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor disappeared into the street. As soon as the Tao Actualization Divine Emperor disappeared, the middle-aged Tao Essence Divine Emperor felt the binding around him loosen. Everything became natural again. Qian Bei. The middle-aged Tao Essence Divine Emperor looked at Ning Cheng in shock. To be able to use space law to bind him, this was simply Tao Integration Divine Emperor. If a Tao Integration Divine Emperor came to the Thousand Ren Void City, all the experts of the Thousand Ren commercial building combined would probably be no match for him. Ning Cheng showed a faint smile. "The deal between me and him is our own business. It has nothing to do with your Thousand Sparks merchant house." Yes, I understand. I was too presumptuous just now, please forgive me, senior." The middle-aged man's voice was filled with fear. Although this was not a big deal, there were many examples of merchant houses being destroyed because of this. Ning Cheng waved his hand and spoke, "Let's forget about the matter from a moment ago. Are you the shopkeeper here?" "Yes, I am Yan Jingyao. I am in charge of the Qianren merchant house's operations." Yan Jingyao quickly bowed and replied. Ning Cheng nodded, "In that case, I have a few questions to ask you." "Senior, please take a seat in the guest hall upstairs." Yan Jingyao, on realizing that Ning Cheng's strength far surpassed his own, spoke with a tone filled with fear and trepidation. Yan Jingyao led Ning Cheng to the second floor and served him a cup of top-notch divine spirit tea before asking carefully, "Senior, please ask me any questions you have. I will tell you everything I know." "Okay, I heard that a piece of released soil was auctioned in the Thousand Ren Void City. Which auction house sold it?" Ning Cheng asked directly. Yan Jingyao replied in a respectful tone, "This piece of released soil was auctioned by the Qianren commercial building. I heard that it came from the Jiaoyang mountain. A mid-stage primordial chaos expert came to auction the released soil. He originally sent a large piece of released soil to the Thousand Ren Void City for auction. I don't know what happened later, but he took more than half of it back and only left 1/3 here for auction. This is because this piece of released soil is one of the most precious treasures auctioned by our merchant house. I remember very clearly that it was won by a man in a green robe. Apart from that, what other precious treasures are there in the Thousand Ren Void City?" Ning Cheng asked again. He had nothing to do in the Thousand Ren Void City. He had deliberately paused because of Lei Xiron's words. "There's also a broken creation cultivation technique." Yan Jingyao's words almost made Ning Cheng stand up. He hurriedly asked, "Creation cultivation technique? How can a creation cultivation technique be recorded?" Ning Cheng was not a person who did not understand. The mysterious yellow formless that he cultivated was a good fortune cultivation method. Moreover, he had a vague guess in his heart that a good fortune cultivation method could not be recorded down. Only those with the treasures of fortune could comprehend this kind of cultivation technique. The black-yellow formless that he cultivated could only record some derivative cultivation techniques in jade slips. Yan Jingyao hurriedly explained, "Senior is right. To be precise, it's not a cultivation technique jade slip, but a piece of an axe blade. I heard that many fragments of the creation indestructible axe were lost in the Jiaoyang mountain. These fragments come in different sizes. The axe blade is a fragment of the creation indestructible axe found in the Jiaoliang mountain. It's a very large piece. The blade of the axe was half a foot long. I heard that the person who found the axe blade was a Tao Nourishment Divine Emperor. When he saw the axe blade, he was overjoyed and wanted to keep the axe blade. However, he did not expect that the axe blade contained a powerful axe line killing intent. He was directly killed by the killing intent. A Tao Essence Divine Emperor who was passing by had good luck and picked up the axe blade. When that Tao Essence Divine Emperor picked up the axe blade, the Tao runes on the axe blade were very clear. Although it was broken, it was a cultivation technique. Many people who came later did not obtain the axe blade, but they understood part of the cultivation technique. Just by relying on this small amount of understanding, their strength soared and even directly advanced. Ning Cheng's heart moved. Just now, that Tao transformation cultivator in hemp clothes had traded with him a fragment of the creation indestructible axe. Ning Cheng had a creation treasure, and he could tell that it was a creation indestructible axe fragment. He remembered that Mang Yong also had a fragment of the indestructible axe on him. Moreover, Yan Jingyao had mentioned that the indestructible axe contained the good fortune cultivation method. From the looks of it, Jiaoliang Mountain had the most fragments of the indestructible axe. Since that Tao Essence Divine Emperor obtained the creation indestructible axe fragment, how did he appear in the Thousand Thunder Void City? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. If he obtained such an item, he would naturally find a place to hide in seclusion. Yan Jingyao quickly said, although that person obtained the indestructible axe blade, too many people saw it. He used an escape talisman to escape, but even so, he still could not escape the pursuit of others. This continued until he escaped into the Thousand Thunder Void City and could no longer escape. That person was killed and the indestructible axe blade was taken away. Ning Cheng asked immediately. Yan Jingyao shook his head. He wasn't killed. He knew that he could no longer leave after reaching the Thousand Thunder Void City unless he handed over the indestructible axe blade that contained the creation indestructible axe. Later on, he really thought of a way to auction off the axe blade. He sealed the axe blade in Qianren Square, suspended it in the void, and let everyone bid for it. However, no one bid, and everyone rushed up to fight for the axe blade. Ning Cheng shook his head. It was obvious. He didn't ask because Yan Jingyao would definitely continue to talk about the whereabouts of the axe blade that contained the creation indestructible technique. Sure enough, Yan Jingyao continued, the axe blade entered the Yin family after everyone fought over it. After that, no one dared to touch the axe blade, Yin family. Ning Cheng looked at Yan Jingyao in confusion. Was the Yin family that powerful? No one dared to touch the indestructible axe blade that contained the Tao runes of the creation indestructible technique? Is the Yin family in the Thousand Thunder Void City? Ning Cheng asked. Yan Jingyao obviously understood the meaning behind Ning Cheng's words, and quickly spoke up, yes, but this Yin clan is not a clan like what Senior thinks. No, how should I say it, the Yin clan is a clan, but there are no living people in it. Yan Jingyao spoke in a long-winded manner, but Ning Cheng understood. You mean that the Yin family was originally a family in the Thousand Thunder Void City, but after the family perished, no one dared to enter the Yin family's house? Yes, yes, Yan Jingyao replied. Ning Cheng chuckled, stared at Yan Jingyao and said, you said that the Yin family was powerful and no one dared to go in. You said that there was no one in the Yin family and only a house, but no one dared to go in. If this kind of thing happened in the ordinary secular world, Ning Cheng might have believed it a little. However, the Thousand Thunder Void City was full of starry sky experts, and the weakest was probably at least at the heaven-seated realm. In Earth's terms, such experts were all exalted immortals. As for cultivators at the Tao modeling realm and above, they were experts who had touched the Tao of heaven and earth. Would such experts be afraid of an empty house? Even a house full of ghost cultivators wouldn't go that far. Even in the Nether realm, there were people who went in. Senior, you will know what this junior means when you go there. Yan Jingyao understood Ning Cheng's doubts and explained, before the creation indestructible axe blade, some people entered the Yin family's house, but no one came out. Later, the indestructible axe blade containing the creation indestructible technique fell in the Yin family's house. Many experts went in, including primordial chaos experts, but no one came out. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. Did no Dao integration experts come here? The indestructible axe blade containing the creation Dao rune cultivation method was enough to attract Dao integration experts. Even he would come to take a look when he heard the news, let alone others. Yan Jingyao said carefully, as for whether any Dao integration experts came here, I don't know. I heard that a Dao integration expert came here before. He observed outside the Yin family's house for a long time before leaving again. Ning Cheng didn't ask any more questions and said directly, take me to the Yin family's house now. Yes, this junior obeys, Yan Jingyao said immediately. The Yin family was in the westernmost corner of the Thousand Thunder Void City. While leading the way, Jingyao told Ning Cheng that the Yin family used to be the most powerful and mysterious family in the Thousand Thunder Void City. However, this family was very strange. They never did any business in the Thousand Thunder Void City and very few disciples went out. Many years ago, it was said that the Yin family had offended a peerless expert. That peerless expert had fought in the Yin family's territory for several days and nights. Later, the Yin family had become a dead land and no one had come out. Chapter 1249. As the two talked, they arrived at the west corner of the 1009 Void City. Near the west corner, there was almost no one there. When Ning Cheng came here, he found that someone had already set up a simple defensive restriction here. This simple defensive restriction couldn't prevent the people inside from coming out, nor could it prevent the people outside from going in. Perhaps this defensive restriction was just a psychological effect. Standing outside the defensive restriction, Ning Cheng could feel a kind of gloomy aura. This aura was somewhat similar to the aura of the dark nether realm, but it was also completely different. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept in, but other than the tall gate tower of the Yin clan, there was nothing else. The tall gate tower was mottled and strange. On the top of the gate tower, there were 3 broken mottled words, Yin clan's corner. The corner was missing half of the words, making it look even more dilapidated. When his spiritual consciousness passed through the tall gate, Ning Cheng could only feel a gloomy black hole. No matter how his spiritual consciousness forcibly broke through the black hole, he still couldn't see anything. The Yin clan's corner was like the void, but it was even stranger than the void. He could at least feel the void. When his spiritual consciousness entered this place, there was only one word, hollow. Senior, this is the Yin clan. Very few people have gone in recently. Yan Jingyao pointed to the gloomy Yin clan's corner and said to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng waved his hand at Yan Jingyao and said, there's nothing for you to do here. You can leave at any time. Ning Cheng despised people like Yan Jingyao who forced people to buy and sell. If it weren't for Yan Jingyao's threat to that Dao transformation divine emperor, he might have taken out 2 heaven essence heavenly pills to sell to the 1009 Void City. Yes, senior. Yan Jingyao didn't dare to stay here. If Ning Cheng was in a bad mood and slapped him, he wouldn't have a place to cry out. Ning Cheng didn't immediately enter the Yin clan's corner. He observed from outside for a while. As Yan Jingyao said, after nearly an hour, Ning Cheng didn't see anyone enter the Yin clan's corner. Moreover, no matter what method he used, his spiritual consciousness couldn't penetrate the Yin clan's corner. Ning Cheng hesitated whether to go in or not. He had been to many dangerous places. Even the burial shadow blue sand was not a place where his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate. Even if he couldn't penetrate it at first, he could penetrate it after a while. However, his spiritual consciousness really couldn't penetrate this place at all. Even after trying for an hour, it still didn't work. Hey, Brother Ning, what a coincidence. Did you also come here to look for the fragment of the indestructible axe? A familiar voice with a hint of surprise sounded, followed by Zhang Tai walking over. So it turned out to be Dao friend Tan Tai. Ning Qing also smiled and cupped his fists. Ning Qing didn't find it strange that Zhang Tai appeared here. The woman wandered around the void markets in the void in search of all kinds of rare treasures. Otherwise, he would not have seen her in the Heavenly Alliance Dao Pagoda. Now that Zhang Tai had appeared in the Thousand Thunder Void City, it was obvious that she had come for the good fortune indestructible axe fragment. Just as Zhang Tai said, it was quite a coincidence. The void was vast and boundless. Even if Zhang Tai came for the shard of the good fortune indestructible axe, it was still a coincidence that she happened to meet him here. Ning Qing suspected that this woman knew that he was here, and then deliberately looked for him. However, he couldn't understand how Zhang Tai knew he was here. If Brother Ning wants to go in and look for the indestructible axe's shard, why don't we join forces? Zhang Tai's eyes flashed with eagerness. She wanted to join forces with Ning Qing last time, but she didn't succeed because Ning Qing didn't care about her. After meeting Ning Qing this time, she immediately wanted to join forces again. She had a hunch that Ning Qing wasn't a simple person. The reason why she came to the Thousand Thunder Void City this time was not because she knew that Ning Qing was here, but because she heard that the Qianren merchant house had 2 Heaven Yuan heavenly pills when she passed by a teleportation array adjacent to the Thousand Thunder Void City. She didn't need the Heaven Yuan heavenly pills now, but she knew that it was something that only the top pill saints could refine. Someone who could appear in the Thousand Thunder Void City with 2 Heaven Yuan heavenly pills definitely wasn't an ordinary person. In order to find the owner of the Heaven Yuan heavenly pills, Zhang Tai deliberately came to the Thousand Thunder Void City and found the Qianren merchant house. After asking in the Thousand Thunder Void merchant house, she knew that Ning Qing had gone to the Yin clan's corner. It wasn't that she didn't know about the Yin clan's corner. With her experience in the void, how could she not know that the Yin clan's corner contained the indestructible axe's shard that contained the creation Dao runes? She had come here twice for this matter but didn't dare to enter the Yin clan's corner both times. She was too afraid of the Yin clan's corner. She had seen a half-step Dao integration Holy Emperor enter the Yin clan's corner and never come out again. She believed that she was much stronger than that half-step Dao integration Holy Emperor, but she still didn't dare to take the risk. Zhang Tai had thought more than once that if she had this broken creation indestructible axe's shard, she could definitely succeed in Dao integration in the most powerful way. She hadn't reached Dao integration yet, not because she couldn't, but because she didn't want to. With her strength, walking in the void was almost not dangerous. Moreover, after all these years, she also knew that Dao integration was very important. If she casually reached Dao integration, not only would her life end here, but her strength would also be far inferior to others. Ning Qing smiled. I haven't thought about it yet. If Daoist Zhang Tai wants to go in, you don't have to consider me. Zhang Tai had a smile on her face without any embarrassment. Brother Ning, you know that I don't dare to go in alone. I've been in the void for countless years, and there aren't many people who I admire. But Brother Ning is one of them. So if Brother Ning wants to go in, I'm willing to be Brother Ning's helper. If Brother Ning doesn't go in, I definitely won't dare to go in. Ning Qing didn't expect Zhang Tai to speak so directly. He wanted to say that he could go in and she could go in and mind her own business. However, Zhang Tai had always been polite and respectful to him since she met him. Even if Ning Qing didn't like Zhang Tai, he couldn't say such words with his personality. Brothers and sisters, if you go in, can you take me with you? A young-looking male cultivator quickly walked over and spoke with a smile on his face. If it were on Earth, Ning Qing would even suspect that this young male cultivator wasn't even 20 years old. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him a teenager. But here, Ning Qing felt sure that the other party was more than 20 years old because the other party had perfected Dao transformation realm cultivation. Ning Qing still felt sure that this male cultivator wasn't old. It was Ning Cheng's first time seeing such a young perfected Dao transformation realm cultivator. In addition to peerless aptitude, he also needed countless cultivation resources. From this point, Ning Qing understood that this teenager came from a top-tier force. Moreover, this young male cultivator looked really handsome, and his skin wasn't any worse than Zhang Taiyi's. From the fact that he, a Dao transformation holy emperor, dared to enter Yin clan's corner with two experts far stronger than him, it showed how confident he was. When Zhang Taiyi saw this young male cultivator, a trace of surprise flashed in her eyes. But this surprise only flashed for a moment before disappearing. Ning Qing didn't speak. If he wanted to enter Yin clan's corner, let alone a perfected Dao transformation realm cultivator, he wouldn't even want to bring Zhang Taiyi along. The young male cultivator didn't feel embarrassed when he saw Ning Qing and Zhang Taiyi not talking. He still showed his white teeth and said with a smile, "My name is Zhen Xiaobing. Brothers and sisters, you don't have to worry about me being a burden. I definitely won't drag you down. I've been waiting here for several years and always wanted to go in with the experts to see the excitement. But I didn't see any experts. Instead, I saw a lot of ordinary people. It's just that after they went in, they never got a chance to come out. You haven't gone in even once." Ning Qing stared at Zhen Xiaobing. Zhen Xiaobing touched his hair in embarrassment. "I went in once and almost lost my life, so I quickly came out." "You went in once?" Ning Qing looked at Zhen Xiaobing in confusion. Didn't Yan Jingyao say that as long as one went in, they would die and no one would come out? Why could this Zhen Xiaobing come out again after going in? Zhen Xiaobing nodded without the slightest vigilance and said, "Yeah, I really went in once. It's just a hole in there. Once you go in, not only can you not use your spiritual consciousness, but you also can't use your spirit essence. Fortunately, I have a teleportation array disk that can be activated with a thought. I used the array disk to escape." An array disk that can be activated with a thought. Ning Cheng's interest in Yin clan's corner wasn't as great as this array disk. "Dao friend Zhen, can you let me have a look at your array disk?" "Don't worry, I just want to have a look. I definitely won't take anything from you." "Of course." Zhen Xiaobing put an array disk in Ning Cheng's hands without even a shred of vigilance. The array disk looked very exquisite and had a very novel appearance. Obviously, it was not an ancient thing, but a newly refined one. Ning Cheng had a good impression of this Zhen Xiaobing. He thought that even if Zhen Xiaobing wanted to show him the array disk, he would at least put forward a request, that is, when he went in, he would bring him along. Ning Qing didn't expect that he wouldn't even ask, and directly handed over the array disk to him. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on the array disk and immediately felt shocked. This array disk definitely had not been refined for more than 100 years, but the array disk structure and the method of engraving array formations made him feel refreshed. He had studied the Tao of array formations for a long time. Even the array Tao jade strip that Nianyan gave him had traces of the array formation method. Zhen Xiaobing's array disk did not leave any traces behind. It was completely natural. This kind of traceless refining method was somewhat similar to the development direction of his Tao of array formations. However, Ning Qing knew that he absolutely couldn't achieve this level. So strong. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the array disk's veins and murmured to himself. Unfortunately, his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate it. Firstly, this array disk was not his. Secondly, he did not understand the refining method of this array disk. Once his spiritual consciousness penetrated it, it would most likely destroy the array disk structure. "May I ask who helped you refine this array disk?" Ning Qing handed the array disk to Zhen Xiaobing and asked in a very polite tone. Zhen Xiaobing casually put away the array disc and showed an unguarded smile. This was given to me by my mother. My mother was worried that I would be in danger outside, so she gave me this array disc. Zhen Xiaobing's words were not very clear, but Ning Cheng did not ask again. He nodded and spoke, in that case, let's go in and have a look. This Yin clan's corner, in case something goes wrong, let's all escape. Chapter 1250. Ning Cheng was the first to walk into the restriction, followed by Zhen Xiaobing and Zhang Taiyi. Stepping through the broken entrance of Yin clan's corner, Ning Cheng felt empty under his feet. At this moment, whether it was his spiritual consciousness or spirit essence, both were in an empty state and useless. It was like an ordinary person standing on the edge of a cliff and falling off the cliff without any support. Even powerhouses like Ning Cheng and Zhang Taiyi would feel a sense of panic in their hearts. At this time, Yin clan's corner did not feel like a residential corner, but a bottomless abyss. Ning Cheng did not move, nor did he forcibly stimulate the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Even if it was a bottomless abyss, it would not kill him. If he, a body-refining powerhouse with a sacred body, fell to his death in this place, it would be too ridiculous. More importantly, he vaguely felt the aura of an illusion array here. Perhaps after a long time, or perhaps just a moment, Ning Cheng felt a tremor under his feet, as if he had landed on the ground. That tremor could even affect his mind and soul, but Ning Cheng's consciousness had a feeling that it was just a psychological effect. In fact, he did not even move. Ah! A panicked scream came, and Ning Cheng heard it clearly. It was Zhang Taiyi's scream. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grabbed Zhang Taiyi. Zhang Taiyi seemed to be in extreme panic. When she grabbed Ning Cheng's arm, she quickly held on tightly and did not dare to relax. It was like a person falling off a cliff grabbing onto a life-saving object. Feeling the power coming from Zhang Taiyi's hand, Ning Cheng suddenly understood something. He wondered why Zhen Xiaobing did not scream, nor did she move. It doesn't matter. As long as your nerves are thick enough, it will not affect you in this place. Zhen Xiaobing's indifferent voice came over. Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw out a bright light array disc. Immediately, the position of the three of them appeared clearly. Was there a cliff or a bottomless abyss where they were? A few steps behind the three of them was the broken entrance. The place where the three of them stood was just a huge bluestone slab from the entrance of Yin clan's corner. Around the bluestone slab, there were only bones everywhere. Even if Ning Cheng refined a high-level bright light array disc, he could only see a small area in front of him. Zhang Taiyi finally recovered and quickly let go of Ning Cheng's arm. Her face looked a little pale. Ning Cheng remained silent. He didn't feel ashamed of Zhang Taiyi. He knew very well what had just happened. This was a great nightmare array. This array formation could even affect him, so it was obvious how terrifying it was. It was like when an ordinary person was dreaming. He dreamed that he was climbing a very high and steep cliff. When he was about to reach the top, the rock in his hand suddenly loosened and he fell from the cliff. At this moment, both his body and soul were in a state of extreme panic. When something like this happened in a dream, once it exceeded the psychological endurance, it would not be strange even if one died. However, the great nightmare formation before him was on a completely different level compared to a dream. After all, dreams were fake. Once you couldn't break free from this great nightmare array, then it was real. The skeletons around the bluestone slab showed how many people had died here. It was only a few steps away from the gate. There was no abyss or killing array. So many people had died just because of the great nightmare formation. I'm sorry, Brother Ning. I just fell into the great nightmare formation. If it weren't for you, I don't know what would have happened. Zhang Taiyi's face looked a little better. She finally understood what kind of place she had fallen into. If she hadn't grabbed Ning Cheng's arm, she wouldn't have fallen. However, she would have definitely suffered some injuries. Moreover, once she got injured, no one knew what would happen next. Ning Qing nodded and looked at Zhen Xiaobing with a meaningful gaze. Dao friend Zhen, you didn't suffer any injuries in this great nightmare array. You really are powerful. Ning Qing said those words deliberately. Zhen Xiaobing definitely knew that there was a terrifying great nightmare array here. But when he came in, he didn't say anything. Zhen Xiaobing didn't feel the slightest bit of reprimand and spoke with admiration on his face. Big brother Ning's strength is simply too powerful. I barely got through it because I had a breaking illusion array disc. Big brother Ning relied on his firm belief and mind to remain unaffected. This is what you call skill. When he heard Zhang Tai-yi call him brother Ning, he immediately called him big brother Ning. Ning Qing didn't expose Zhen Xiaobing's lies. Zhen Xiaobing knew that there was a top-notch great nightmare array here, but he didn't say anything in advance. Obviously, he wanted to test his and Zhang Tai-yi's strength to see if they were qualified to take him in. A Dao transformation Holy Emperor testing the strength of two primordial chaos powerhouses to see if they were qualified to take him in. Ning Qing showed a faint smile. I didn't ask you about my ability. I just asked you about your method. Since we are working together, then we naturally have to discuss the method together. Otherwise, there would be no point in working together. Yes, big brother Ning is right. I did it because of this array disc. Zhen Xiaobing not only took it for granted, but he also felt a trace of shame for taking out the array disc too late. Ning Qing took the array disc from Zhen Xiaobing and looked at it carefully before returning it to Zhen Xiaobing with a calm expression. This was a breaking illusion array disc. The Great Nightmare Array was a type of illusion array. A mere illusory breaking array disc was able to break such a terrifying Great Nightmare Array. The person who refined this array disc was incredibly strong, just like the teleportation array disc that Zhen Xiaobing gave him before. After Zhen Xiaobing took the array disc, Ning Qing asked, Dao friend Zhen, you have so many top-grade array discs on you. Why do you want to work with us? You can go anywhere in this place. Zhen Xiaobing showed a slightly embarrassed expression. I don't have many array discs. I don't have the radiant array disc that big brother Ning used just now. Zhang Tai-yi suddenly said, then do you want one? Ning Qing immediately understood Zhang Tai-yi's meaning. If Zhen Xiaobing wanted one, Zhang Tai-yi would definitely say that as long as he took out a breaking illusion array disc, brother Ning would definitely exchange it with him. Zhen Xiaobing acted like a little fox and quickly waved her hand. I don't dare, and I can't. My mother said that things that are precious to you are even more precious to others. If a person casually asks for other people's precious things, then that person can't make friends. Zhang Tai-yi felt exasperated. Zhen Xiaobing not only refused her words, but also blocked all her excuses for asking for the array disc. Ning Qing couldn't refine Zhen Xiaobing's array disc right now. Moreover, Ning Qing knew that he still had a long way to go before he could refine such an array disc. In fact, Ning Qing didn't really want Zhen Xiaobing's array disc. Even if she didn't show him this array disc, he would have the opportunity to refine it in the future. What's more, he had already seen this kind of array disc. It wouldn't be difficult to refine such an array disc in the future. Dao friend Zhen, are there any other dangers in this Yin clan's corner? Ning Qing looked at Zhen Xiaobing with a smile. This Zhen Xiaobing didn't seem to have any ulterior motives, but she definitely was a little fox. Zhen Xiaobing showed a very good-looking smile, but her face still showed some shame. I came in with others before, but those two people weren't as powerful as Big Brother Ning and Big Sister Ning. I didn't dare to go forward alone, so I retreated. After coming here, can you still retreat from the gate? Zhang Tai-yi looked at Zhen Xiaobing with some suspicion. Zhen Xiaobing showed a blank expression, and then carefully spoke up, I really don't know if you can get out of this gate. I was in a hurry at that time and directly used the transfer array disc to get out. Ning Qing didn't have to guess to know that one definitely couldn't get out of this gate. Once one retreated, there would definitely be all kinds of dangers. Otherwise, no one would have come out of this clan's corner after so many years. Since we're already here, let's go in and have a look. Ning Qing finished and walked in. Zhan Tai followed behind Ning Qing, almost never leaving his side. The nightmare grand array from a moment ago still left her with a lingering fear. Zhen Xiaobing, however, acted as if she didn't have a care in the world, walking at the back while looking around. Ning Qing couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He didn't know who taught Zhen Xiaobing to take a casual stroll in the face of life and death. This reminded him of Duan Gantai. This Zhen Xiaobing was a different version of Duan Gantai, with an extremely confident temperament. Once such a person grew up, he would become extremely powerful and terrifying. Walking in the clan's corner, every step felt like stepping into a bottomless abyss. Fortunately, the Ning Qing trio knew that this was the nightmare grand array. As such, they didn't fall into the grand array again like before. The trio walked slowly, and after the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, Ning Qing stopped in front of two quaint wooden doors. One of the two knockers on the wooden door was broken, and a row of words was written above the knocker on the other side, "Since you're here, come in." Ning Qing stood outside the door, and his spiritual consciousness once again swept into the door. It was still dark inside the door, just like the place they had just come from. Spiritual consciousness couldn't sweep in, and the bright light array disc could only see the situation outside the door. A faint aura of the Grand Tao emerged from the dark abyss behind the door. Ning Qing cultivated the mysterious yellow formless, so when he felt this faint aura, he immediately understood that it was the aura of a good fortune cultivation method. Because Ning Qing had obtained a fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe, he knew that this Grand Tao aura definitely came from the axe blade of the indestructible axe. From the looks of it, Yan Jingyao didn't lie. The fragment that fell into the clan's corner was indeed the good fortune indestructible axe's axe blade. Ning Qing sensed it, and so did Zhan Tai and Zhen Xiaobing. Zhen Xiaobing spoke up without any ulterior motives, "Big brother Ning, I sensed a fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe's axe blade inside. Do you want to go in?" Ning Qing looked at the innocent Zhen Xiaobing and asked, "Dao friend Zhen, there is only one fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe's axe blade. Now that there are three of us here, who should the fragment of the axe blade go to after we go in?" Chapter 1251. Zhan Tai knew that there was a huge gap between her and Ning Qing's strength. Since she came here with Ning Qing, she had no choice. Moreover, she also had to rely on Ning Qing in this place. Wanting to snatch the fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe from Ning Qing was obviously not a wise thing to do. Therefore, as soon as Ning Qing spoke those words, she did not hesitate to speak up. This time, Brother Ning took the lead. "What I mean is that if we can find the fragment of the good fortune indestructible axe's axe edge, then this fragment will belong to Brother Ning. If Brother Ning is willing, then allow me to comprehend this fragment for a period of time." Zhen Xiaobing quickly followed up and spoke, "That's right, I and elder sister's thoughts are the same, for Big Brother Ning to let me comprehend the axe blade fragment of the indestructible axe, I am already very happy. Of course, if Big Brother Ning feels that it is inconvenient, then I can also come in to experience it and broaden my horizons, it would also be a happy thing." Ning Qing was aware of the thoughts of these two people, as he gave a smile and spoke, "Since everyone has risked their lives to come here, then naturally everyone would have their own ideas about the axe blade fragment of the indestructible axe. How about this indestructible axe's axe blade fragment, whoever obtains it will be the one to keep it." Zhen Xiaobing quickly bowed to Ning Qing and spoke, "Big Brother Ning is really broad-minded, it really makes this little brother feel ashamed." Ning Qing did not care whether Zhen Xiaobing's words were true or false, and simply stepped through the wooden door. It was exactly the same as what Ning Qing had thought. He had just crossed the wooden door, and just like when he had fallen into the nightmare illusion array, his whole person felt as if he had fallen into a bottomless abyss, without any leverage. At this moment, regardless of whether it was his divine sense or divine essence, he was unable to stretch or release it. Ning Qing knew that this was definitely not the same as the previous nightmare illusion array. This time he really had fallen into a bottomless abyss. This bottomless abyss restricted his divine sense and divine essence. Just like that nightmare grand array, anyone who fell in would have their divine sense and divine essence imprisoned. After understanding this, Ning Qing felt a lot more relaxed in his heart. He forcibly stretched out his spiritual consciousness. As expected, it was different from the Great Nightmare Array. In the Great Nightmare Array, no matter how forcefully his divine sense stretched out, he could not touch the outside at all. At this moment, he was not in the illusory array. Under the forceful extension, his divine sense could see a few meters around him. Ning Qing had experienced many places where he could not extend out his spiritual consciousness. Whether it was the heavenly dipper space, the perpetual moon abyss, the burial shadow blue sand, or the land of broken laws. These places were all isolated from the divine sense, but as long as he entered, even if his divine sense was isolated again, his divine sense would eventually grow from nothing and then slowly extend out. In addition to his starry sky sea of consciousness, it was also related to his continuous tempering of his spiritual consciousness. Once he stretched out his spiritual consciousness, even if it was just a centimeter, then this place would no longer be able to imprison his spiritual consciousness. Sure enough, when Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness stretched out, the range that his spiritual consciousness could extend from 1 meter to 10 meters, moreover in just a few breaths. The abyss behind the wooden door of Yin Clan's corner was like a bottomless pit. From the moment Ning Qing came in until now, he was still falling rapidly. When Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness stretched out to 20 meters, his spiritual consciousness swept past Zhang Taiyi and Zhen Xiaobing. Zhen Xiaobing clearly only had Dao transformation strength. In this bottomless abyss that isolated spiritual sense and divine essence, she was much more relaxed than Zhang Taiyi. Zhen Xiaobing was surrounded by a large patch of faint purple clouds that contained the Dao runes of the great Dao. The cloud wrapped around him so that he wouldn't fall too quickly. He even had the mood to look around, but Ning Qing could feel that he couldn't release his spiritual consciousness at all. Zhang Taiyi, on the other hand, was still falling rapidly. If she didn't come up with a solution halfway, it wasn't impossible for her to fall to her death. Ning Qing sped up his fall, but he didn't immediately grab Zhang Taiyi. In his opinion, with Zhang Taiyi's experience in the void, she wouldn't fall to her death so easily. Ning Qing didn't believe that this woman would entrust her life to him. She definitely had a card up her sleeve. As she fell faster and faster, Zhang Taiyi suddenly raised her hand and threw out a thick red book. As soon as the thick book came out, it turned into red flame ripples. The flame ripples fell under Zhang Taiyi's feet, and Zhang Taiyi's speed immediately slowed down. At the same time, a trace of blood overflowed from the corner of Zhang Taiyi's mouth, and her face turned extremely pale. Sure enough, Ning Qing thought to himself. This woman really had a card up her sleeve. Looking at Zhang Taiyi's appearance, she should have activated some kind of secret technique and released her spiritual consciousness to bring out the red book. The red book clearly had an extraordinary origin. Even under such a powerful spiritual consciousness and spatial suppression, it could still create a space of its own. As for Zhen Xiaobing's purple cloud, Ning Qing couldn't see any traces of Dao charm within it. He could only vaguely feel that the Dao charm contained within the purple cloud was very powerful. It wasn't any weaker than his returning to one Dao. It wasn't any weaker than his returning to one Dao. Ning Qing's heart even jumped. What kind of grand Dao trace was this? Was it another grand Dao derived from a good fortune cultivation method? Ah! Zhang Taiyi let out a soft cry, and Ning Qing saw her entire body suspended above a sharp and indistinct light. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness could sweep out hundreds of meters around him at this time, and within the range of his spiritual consciousness's sweep, there was nothing but a sharp edge. These sharp edges weren't really made up of sharp blades, but some Tao charm laws. Ning Cheng could imagine that if he didn't have his spiritual consciousness, he would fall down like before. Under this sharp edge composed of Tao charm laws, not even the residue of his essence soul would remain. Although Zhan Tai was suspended above the sharp and indistinct light, her entire body was trembling. From the looks of it, it would be difficult for her to persist in this place. Under this indistinct sharp edge, there were a lot of white bones. From this, Ning Cheng could tell that many people had died here. "Brother Ning, are you there?" Zhan Tai called out in a trembling voice. She could barely release her spiritual consciousness, but she couldn't extend it too far. She wouldn't be able to hold it for long. "Big Brother Ning, are you there? It's dangerous here." Zhen Xiaobing's panicked voice came over. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could clearly see his panicked expression. In fact, he looked much more relaxed compared to Zhan Tai. The purple cloud under his feet suspended above the sharp Tao charm laws and seemed to be handling it with ease. Ning Cheng said in a deep voice, "The two of you, follow me." After saying that, Ning Cheng raised his hand and brought out a law-breaking spirit technique. At the same time, he threw out a bright light array disc. Sure enough, as soon as he brought out the law-breaking spirit technique, Zhan Tai felt her body lighten, and the spiritual consciousness she released suddenly relaxed. The sharp edge under her feet also became more vague, and the threat it posed also dropped to a minimum. If Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness was a little stronger, he would have cast the law-breaking spirit technique. Most likely, the blade edge under their feet would have already disappeared. Ning Cheng breathed out a sigh of relief. From the looks of it, this fellow who had arranged all kinds of strange arrays here couldn't crush him. If he could crush him, then his law-breaking spirit technique wouldn't have worked here. "Big Brother Ning, you're really strong. Fortunately, I came in with Big Brother Ning. Otherwise, I'm afraid I would have to escape again," Zhen Xiaobing said with deep admiration. Ning Cheng knew that with his law-breaking spirit technique, Zhen Xiaobing's spiritual consciousness could reach a certain distance. Fortunately, this fellow knew that he could still escape if he told the truth. Once Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique worked, the three of them no longer posed a threat. After half an incense stick's worth of time, Ning Cheng landed. There was no Tao charm or law edge under their feet, and the place where the three of them stood was a gray ground. "Thank you, Big Brother Ning. If it weren't for your help, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to escape from here." Zhan Tai changed the way she addressed him, but she still spoke with lingering fear. She did have a way to escape, but under those circumstances, she didn't know if she could have succeeded. Moreover, based on her experience, the possibility of success was very low. Ning Cheng didn't answer Zhan Tai's words. He waved his hand and sent a voice transmission to Zhan Tai and Zhen Xiaobing. "Don't touch the ground with your feet. It's best to keep a small distance from the ground." The gray soil under his feet gave Ning Cheng a bad feeling. It felt extremely dangerous. "Big Brother Ning is right. I think so too." Zhen Xiaobing's respectful voice came again. Ning Cheng didn't speak again. Instead, his gaze fell on a crescent-shaped isolation restriction in front of him. The crack grew bigger and bigger, and finally, the thing inside the crack completely revealed itself to the three of them. It was a huge black altar, and in the middle of the altar was a half-foot-long fragment. The fragment was faintly emitting a faint light. A strong killing intent seeped out of this fragment. Even when Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on it, he could feel his heart palpitating. It felt as if this fragment would cut apart his spiritual consciousness if he wasn't careful. The shape of the fragment looked like the blade light from a giant axe. Waves after waves of Tao charm emanated from the axe blade's fragment, and a series of faintly discernible handwriting slowly emerged on it, constantly fluctuating. Indestructible axe blade fragment. Zhang Taiyi and Zhen Xiaobing's eyes lit up with eagerness. Even if they didn't understand anything, they knew that this half-foot-long axe blade fragment was what they were looking for. The constantly fluctuating words were the good fortune cultivation method that everyone was talking about. Under good fortune, there is the imperishable. Above the pure yang is the heavenly Tao, and below the Yin turbid is the heavenly Tao. Sure enough, it was a good fortune cultivation method. Ning Cheng looked at the Grand Tao charm contained within this fragment, and the vague writing of the Grand Tao, and felt sure that this was truly a good fortune cultivation method. However, Ning Cheng's gaze quickly moved away from the axe blade fragment of the indestructible axe. His gaze then fell onto the black altar. He was very familiar with this altar, but what he saw at that time was not an altar, but an altar. That altar was the altar of Forefathers' library, which had 3 huge chains locked onto it. These 3 chains locked onto Pan Qian. In addition to these 3 blood chains, there was also a blood pool filled with heart-devouring insects. Later, when he saved Pan Qian, the altar automatically disappeared into the void. Today, Ning Cheng saw an altar here. Although this altar was not an altar, Ning Cheng still felt a sense of familiarity from it. Chapter 1252. Dong Dong. A few dull sounds came from the altar, and Ning Cheng's trio felt a burst of panic in their hearts. Ning Cheng found it hard to bear with his strength, let alone Zhang Taiyi. She opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. Even under Ning Cheng's domain, she still staggered. The Tao charm fluctuations blasted onto Zhen Xiaobing's purple cloud and filtered out most of it. Even so, Zhen Xiaobing still couldn't bear it. He, who had always been relaxed, spat out several blood arrows this time, and his entire body was paralyzed on the purple cloud. If not for the purple clouds, these 2 thumps would have been enough to kill him. Ning Cheng raised his hand and used an law-breaking spirit technique, and the dong dong sounds instantly weakened. At the same time, the gray ground under the trio's feet disappeared without a trace. The gray ground looked like a black mouth that completely enveloped the trio. The endless law power squeezed over, and Ning Cheng's trio's freedom in this space was instantly taken away. If Ning Cheng hadn't used an law-breaking spirit technique before, the trio would have been unable to move at this moment. Big brother Ning, big sister, hurry up and leave. It's dangerous here. Zhen Xiaobing spoke nicely, but he didn't hesitate to bring out the teleportation array disc. After he took out the teleportation array disc, the purple cloud under his feet suddenly simulated a purple handprint. That handprint directly swept up the broken axe blade on the altar, and then disappeared together with him in this space that was compressed by the laws of space. Zhen Xiaobing was not only the first to rush out of the law-squeezing space, but he also swept away the broken axe blade of the good fortune indestructible axe. Not only that, but before he left, he didn't forget to call out to Ning Cheng and Zhang Taiyi. He alone had done all the good and good. Zhen Xiaobing knew that the reason they still had some freedom until now was because of Ning Cheng's spirit technique. Without Ning Cheng's law-breaking spirit technique, he would have died a terrible death. Zhang Taiyi naturally knew this very well. She didn't have time to think about anything else. Before the law-squeezing space arrived, she brought out a talisman and disappeared without a trace. She knew that once Ning Cheng's spirit technique lost its effect, she wouldn't be able to resist and would only add a pile of bones to this place. However, her means of escape were not as good as Zhen Xiaobing's, as such she did not even have the time to call out to Ning Cheng. It wasn't that Ning Cheng didn't want to leave. But the moment he used the law-breaking spirit technique, he reached out to grab the broken axe blade. At the same time, the shadows that the 3 divine senses couldn't detect locked onto his hands and feet. The 3 shadows that locked onto his hands and feet turned into a chain, and a violent Tao charm power swept over and swept Ning Cheng away. What a powerful method, Ning Cheng thought as he was swept away by the purple cloud under Zhen Xiaobing's feet. That was definitely not a Dao transformation technique. Even an ordinary primordial chaos expert did not have such a Dao rune technique. At this point, Ning Qing felt sure that the powerhouse behind Jin Xiaobing was very terrifying. After Ning Qing was swept away, the cracks in front of the sacrificial altar disappeared. If not for the fragment of the indestructible axe's axe blade, it would have looked exactly the same as when Ning Cheng's trio had first arrived. Jin Xiaobing landed outside Yin Clan's corner and cupped his fists towards Yin Clan's corner before saying, "Elder brothers and elder sisters, this little brother will take his leave first. I hope you have a great fortune and can come out safe and sound like this little brother." After saying this, Jin Xiaobing grabbed another array disc. The array disc turned into a white light that instantly swept him away and disappeared without a trace. As soon as Jin Xiaobing disappeared, Zhang Taiyi landed in Jin Xiaobing's position. She looked at the mottled Yin Clan's corner with a complicated expression and sighed after a long while. She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, turned around, and disappeared without a trace the next moment. As the nomological power of the Dao charm grew stronger and stronger, Ning Cheng's hands and legs lost their autonomy. Surrounded by the nomological power of the Dao charm, he was brought into a bottomless abyss. The nomological power continued to increase, and as Ning Cheng got sucked into the depths, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness started to get more and more compressed. Ning Cheng took out a bottle of Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills without hesitation and poured several Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills into his mouth. As soon as he swallowed the Empyrean consciousness transmutation pills, his spiritual consciousness immediately stabilized and began to soar once again. The nomological power of the spatial binding around him contained a trace of spiritual sense control. Therefore, Ning Cheng could use the dark nether spirit devourer to devour these spiritual consciousnesses. However, he didn't do so. Last time, he had limited strength and could only save Pan Qian. He couldn't do anything about the 3 chains. He didn't know if the 3 chains were the same ones or not, but since they took the initiative to pull him in, he wouldn't think about escaping. Ning Cheng had a vague feeling in his heart that after his cultivation had reached this level, it would be very difficult for him to make any further progress. Since it would be difficult for him to make further progress, if he couldn't defeat the opponent behind this altar in his current state, then even if he escaped, it would be difficult for him to come back for revenge in the future. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness grew stronger, Ning Cheng felt the gloomy aura around him growing thicker. In addition to the gloomy aura, he even heard some Sanskrit chanting. The gloomy aura made Ning Cheng's bones feel a strange chill, hinting that he could turn into nothingness at any time. The Sanskrit chanting seemed to want to plant some Dao charm seeds in his body, declaring a new grand Dao charm to him. The fusion of the 2 Dao charms made Ning Cheng feel like he was better off dead than alive. Pan Qian had taken away the dagger he used to cut Pan Qian's chains. Ning Cheng believed that with his restored spiritual consciousness and the strength and means he could display, he could cut the chains without the dagger. However, he still endured the terrible torture and didn't touch the chains. He just attached his celestial river flame to his left hand and the nameless flame to his right hand. The origin of these 3 chains was too strange. Ning Cheng believed that if he cut off these chains now, even if his strength reached the Dao perfection realm, he wouldn't be able to find the origin of these 3 chains, just like last time. Kaka. Ning Cheng's bones finally couldn't bear the extreme cold Dao charm and the strange Sanskrit chantings Dao charm and slowly cracked. Ning Cheng sighed. If this continued, even if he had a sacred body, his corporeal body wouldn't be able to bear it and would fall apart. Just when Ning Cheng wanted to break the 3 chains, long black belt appeared in his spiritual consciousness. Followed by a bang sound, his whole body fell to the ground. The 3 chains obviously came out from the same place, but they were divided into 3 different directions, pulling Ning Cheng up from the ground. It was as if they wanted to use the chains to split his body. Under the circulation of the Dao charm in Ning Cheng's body, his cracked bones instantly healed. But he still didn't remove the 3 chains. Instead, his gaze fell on the long black belt. It wasn't a long belt, but a long black river. As the Tao charm flowed over the long black river, an extremely familiar feeling welled up in Ning Cheng's heart. A vague red bridge-shaped outline appeared in front of Ning Cheng. This bridge looked strange because it was only half of it. After the bridge reached the middle, it suddenly broke. In front of the bridge, there were a few mottled words written in cursive, 6th Permitha Bridge. I've been waiting for you for a long time. You're finally here. A hoarse voice came from the other side of the long black river. Although this voice came from the other side of the black river, Ning Cheng felt as if it was speaking right next to his ear. It was gentle and warm, without the slightest urgency. Ning Cheng finally understood the meaning behind the word "since you're here, come in." It turned out that this sentence was meant for him. Were you waiting for me? Ning Cheng asked in a calm tone. Alas! A long sigh came over, crossing this bridge for 10,000 years, the other shore will never return. Come up. The traces of Tao charm swept towards Ning Cheng. When the Tao charm appeared, Ning Cheng felt a burst of desolation in his heart. But before he could react, the power of the Tao charm of the 3 chains suddenly increased. Apparently, it wanted to separate his body and then pull his essence spirit into the Permitha bridge in front of him. He cultivated the 7 bridges spirit technique, but today, the 6th Permitha bridge affected him. Ning Cheng didn't dare to wait any longer. 2 flames burst out at the same time. At the same time, the good fortune divine spear behind him slammed into the chain under his feet. Bang! Bang! Ka! The power of the celestial river flame fully manifested at this moment. The flame just wrapped around Ning Cheng's wrist, and the chain wrapped around Ning Cheng's wrist immediately snapped. The celestial river flame didn't stop and immediately rushed towards Ning Cheng's right wrist. In just a few breaths, the nameless flame, with the help of the celestial river flame, managed to burn off the chain on Ning Cheng's other hand. But at this moment, Ning Cheng's good fortune divine spear also broke the chain around his feet. The moment the 3 chains around Ning Cheng's body broke, an angry shout came from the other side of the long black river. The faint sigh and warm voice from before had completely disappeared. The long black river suddenly roared, and the power of the Tao charm increased by 1,000 times in an instant. This power of the Tao charm brought Ning Cheng directly to the 6th Permitha bridge. Ning Cheng snorted and raised his hand to bring out the 7 Bridges Realm Book. As soon as the 7 Bridges Realm Book came out, it formed an invisible power of laws. Then, this power of laws started to crazily absorb the Tao charm on the 6th Permitha bridge. The voice on the other side of the Black River turned even more angry, and the Tao charm on the 6th Permitha bridge grew even more violent. Ning Cheng cast various methods, but with the help of the 7 Bridges Realm Book, he still managed to reach the edge of the broken bridge. At the edge of this broken bridge, Ning Cheng saw a red flower. Ning Cheng recognized this flower. It was the red spider lily. The red spider lily also had another name, the red spider lily. In front of this red spider lily was a void with a desolate aura of Tao charm lingering in the void. Through this void, Ning Cheng finally saw the opposite side of the void. It was also a broken bridge, and there was also a flower at the end of the broken bridge. It was a white flower. Ning Cheng also recognized this flower. It was called the mandala flower. The desolate Tao charm in the void condensed and formed into Tao charm characters. Flowers bloom and fade for billions of years, flowers and leaves never to be seen again. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.